not gonna do the Ben Shapiro line on redlining, right?
Did Ben Shapiro make that argument on redlining?
A reanalysis of that information.
Oh, he's not denying redlining, but he's using a very crude analysis. And he's trying to say that
Redlining was an evil and awful policy.
Financial institutions were perfectly valid in not giving black people loans because they think that black people are what, culturally inferior? And
oh, actually, I'm sorry. It's not even that he misquotes him. Hasan just straight out lies. Ben Shapiro explicitly says that redlining was a horrible and bad and evil policy.
winning over this group, Destiny, you did it.
He's so mad about my one. Progressives come out and say, well, they don't have a choice but to riot or break into the store, or, well, they're stealing, you know, these electronics or shoes for...
I hate how reductive this take is. It is so unimaginably stupid and reductive, but it doesn't matter. America is a white supremacist nation, and no matter what happens, reductive takes like this.
Yeah, my take is reductive. By the way, America is a white supremacist nation. America is a white supremacist nation. America is a white supremacist nation.
For the record, before people freak the out, guys, Destiny,
Why would they...
the gnome that is in front of your screens.
Wait, why is he poisoning the well so hard already?
Destiny, the gnome that is in front of your screens, okay, has a metric ton of up takes.
Like what?
Specifically as it pertains to race issues, yada, yada, yada.
What are my
None of that matters when he is performing in a contrarian manner against black conservatives. In a contrarian manner against black conservatives. Everyone in his audience will understand this. Most of his haters who have seen any of his content will understand this as well. I'm sure he...
What an unbelievable summary. So Destiny has some crazy race takes. Like what? Which is funny as unlike Hasan here, who thinks that black people are stealing Nikes to redistribute to the wealth of the common good of the neighborhood. Okay, those are Hasan's race takes.
You only see the looting of Target. You don't see the redistribution of the goods that they took from Target back to the community.
And then I'm only a contrarian? So what, if you stick me in front of a bunch of Nazis, I'll turn into a communist? What a stupid fucking statement, but okay, that's cool. Poison the well, chief. Does Hasan have to say all this shit because he's terrified his audience might side with you a little? But I think one of his biggest fears is that like his audience will see me say things and then they'll be like, wait, hold up. Destiny doesn't sound that crazy. Or why do we hate this guy again? I think that's like his biggest fucking fear. So he has to kind of like prep them like, okay, hold up. Now you might hear Destiny say some things that don't sound super crazy, but let me remind you, okay? Let me remind you in 52 different ways how he's actually like one of the worst people ever.
He is so incredibly like geared towards being contrarian. So
yeah,
yes, no matter what, he will absolutely
okay,
most likely rip the black conservatives a new asshole in a way that many of you will probably agree with, and maybe in some ways that he won't, regardless of what you know about his background or what you know about his own perspective. The worst aspect of this, for me in particular, or for many of you that enjoy my content,
it's so I'm so curious if people can't see how transparent the identity or the character assassination is. Like, it's so obvious that he's just trying to poison the well, right? Like, listen, now we're gonna listen to a guy called Destiny, and listen, you might think that he's not an unhinged, racist f***ing loser. Okay, you might think that, but he is. Trust me. Like, that's unreal.
is that anytime he gains like a level of prominence off of something, he will inevitably use that to be like, also f Hasan, let's cut millions of videos about how shitty he is. But
millions! You're the largest political streamer on Twitch. Why do you think that makes you immune to being called out? It doesn't make any sense, right? Like, how obsessed is Hasan about like Ben Shapiro or Andrew Tate or Tucker Carlson or any of the other 50 million conservative people that he talks about constantly, right? Like,
but no matter what happens, I'm going to obviously be objective about his performance here.
yeah, right. But as a passive viewer, you just kind of take it in though and not question what he says. You're giving his viewers too much credit to be able to question his. No, I agree. The most, ironically enough, most of the girls that end up messaging me come from Hasan's stream, and I usually ask them exactly the question, like, how the fuck did you go from watching Hasan to me, because it's like we're so different politically, and almost every single conversation is usually like, oh well, I'd heard Hasan mention you on stream before, but I didn't really know anything about you. I just assumed you were crazy, and then like a video got linked in the YouTube recommendation, or I saw something and it seemed like you were way more reasonable than I'd originally heard. So the vast majority of people that, well, I'm assuming that the vast majority of Hasan's fan base that has like incredibly negative opinions of me, usually just because they've heard Hasan talking about me, but they've never actually seen anything I'm saying, which ironically enough kind of goes back to that article I wrote about Vaush, the manifesto section that included him, about the simulacrum thing, the idea that the negative version of me that exists in a lot of people's heads is just a caricature that's been created of me by these other content creators that don't actually directly engage with anything that I'm saying, which is like very, very, very funny to me. Yeah. Do you agree that your average fan that only sees Hasan from your content also has a disproportionate negative view of Hasan? No, because something that I do that is different than most content creators, I've noted this of Hasan and Ian, is I will show you the full video that I'm reacting to. More often than not, when I see a 20-second clip that somebody's asked me to react to, I'm usually always saying like, okay, hold on, let's find like the full context of what he said. What is this from? There's no way that Hasan actually meant this. So there's no, like for instance, when that skin thing came up, there was a 30-second clip of Hasan calling somebody a skin, which is a really common racial slur for Indians on 4chan. But there's no way that Hasan is using racial slurs for any of you. I don't believe that. And when I went back and I found the VOD, I was like, well, let's see, what did Hasan actually say? It was pretty obvious from the context that he was calling like a virgin pimply face kid. He just meant that as like a nerd guy. He called that guy a shit skin. He wasn't using it as a racial slur for Indians, right? So I don't understand this at all. I don't know what happened. I don't know why this word is even in his vocabulary.
If another one of you 14-year-old pasty little shit skin dumb motherfucker, dude.
He corrected himself afterwards to shit dicks. Nice clip, Chimp, whoever did that. I don't know. Yeah, this is like it's like a slur for Indians on 4chan. I have no idea why it's even like, I don't even know why that's in his vocabulary. I super don't understand.
Out of a malicious reason. I think he's saying that when I make fun of like pasty little skin incels, I am going to less likely to turn. I'm going to be less likely at.
Oh no. Oh no. I understand now. A light bulb just exploded in my brain. I understand. He saw that slur somewhere, and I think he thinks that like shit skin just means like having acne. And it makes sense because he uses it in context of like pasty, like I understand now. I think the difference is that usually when I'm criticizing people, I'll sit here and I'll watch an hour or 2 hour, or I'll give you the full context of the video. And then you can also, I mean, like, I'm sure there are some people that listen to me and they don't even critically engage with the people I criticize, which sucks and it's unfortunate, but I think I try harder to have a fair view of the people that I criticize than the people that view me. The brothel is probably the closest I've come to being bad faith about Hasan, but it was because he accused me and my fan base of all being Nazis. Him, okay? I mean, like, obviously I shouldn't, I was angry, but like, it's also like, that's in response to him literally making shit up over and 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 over again. If the Lav accusations had happened with the roles reversed, he would have never defended. Yeah, true. That's true as well. I defended Hasan. Not only did I defend Hasan through the Lav accusations, I didn't even let Lav initially leak those accusations on my stream. And I told Zerka and Trainwrecks that they also probably shouldn't leak those allegations because I was pretty sure they weren't true. So yeah, and I would never, ever, ever, I would never get that courtesy back from Hasan or Vaush, but that's just the reality of the world I live in. Yeah.
That Hasan nuke?
Which one?
That never went off?
That's not real. I'm almost positive it's not real. I would just tell you to be.
Yeah, I thought it was way too much.
Yeah.
But again, why would someone say that?
Well, because they have every incentive to.
Oh, wait, did you talk to them?
I just know. You just have to trust me. There are a few things I would say I know, and I know this one. Okay.
Jones, I'm about to drop a Hasan nuke.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
No,
DM it
stop.
to me. DM it
Stop
DM
doing
it to
that.
me.
No.
Lav, you're gonna end your whole fucking fucking career on this
I
shit.
know.
Don't do
I
it.
know.
Not in a good way. Literally,
I
it's
know.
not worth it.
I know.
So
but every
stop.
time his name is brought up, I'm like vibrating.
Stop. No,
Wait,
you
do you not-
shouldn't
oh,
be.
wait.
Stop.
Wait, do you not
Just
like
know-
Hasan?
Just know Hasan is well known in Los Angeles.
No.
Okay, hold
Yo,
on. Let's
chill,
chill.
Steven,
Let's
come on.
chill. Let's chill.
Hassan's talking about Lav. We gotta hop over and listen for a minute.
okay, go for
Anything
it.
else
Go
for us?
for it.
Okay.
Light this fucking friendship on fire with the other person. I'm gonna betray her confidence, and I'm gonna lie about her age. How insane is that?
When Democrats decided to be a bit more cloak and dagger about their true opinions of black people and be more
Yeah, and wait, what are Republicans doing in that situation then? I love this take. White liberals are just as racist as white conservatives. They just like will soft pedal it. One of the very famous ways that white liberals in particular engage in like super racist.
Also, remember, when Hasan is saying white liberals is an insult, liberal is an insult that Hasan can use because he considers himself a lefty. So he's better than liberals and conservatives because he's a lefty. Lefties are anti-liberal. They don't care about things like personal freedoms and capitalism and all that dumb shit, right? They just believe in communism and socialism, whatever cringe shit. So when Hasan is criticizing liberals, he's excluding himself and his audience from this. Keep that in mind. Hold on, I'm sorry. You're an absolute retard when it comes to leftists, but I give you for your Twitter broken brain. I'm sorry, Isaac, what do you think I said that was just incorrect?
Gay people or trans people or black women. And that in and of itself is, of course, a phenomena that exists in every community, but singling out black people and then making it seem as though it's a issue specifically with black men or a part of black culture in and of itself is just a more appropriate way, a more civil way for the same kind of white supremacist attitudes and sentiments to be expressed by liberals as well as racist white people on the Republican side of the spectrum.
Yeah. So again, remember, liberals, Destiny, the idea that leftists don't care about individual freedom, socialism, and people's individual liberties are in no way incompatible. Okay, Isaac, that's cool that you believe that, and that's your own personal brand of whatever you want to argue about, but generally, far left-leaning people fight against liberals because, broadly speaking, liberals care a lot about things like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, personal property rights, capitalism, personal enterprise. These are things that liberals, broadly speaking, tend to care about. People on the left don't care about that. The leftists don't care about that because they're more interested in like social equity through like relationship between laborer and capital, right? So they'll fight against things like private enterprise or capitalism or private investment, like stuff like that. Broadly speaking, I'm right. If you want to get into the weeds over arguing that, you can, but I don't know why the fuck you would even waste your.
It's just still stereotyping. It's just done in a more like liberal way.
I want to make sure we're clear. Giving them money hurt them, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, giving them, because if your father's out of the home, that's when we give you the money. If you're living in this housing,
so then give them the money while the dad's
rent-free,
well, then
that's
give
how
them
you
the
get
money
more of
while
the
the
money.
dad's in the home.
If you're working
So
this
give
amount of
them the-
hours and getting less than this amount of
That's such a good response. Holy shit. So he's like, okay, give him money while the dad's in the home. Biden hat is in the chat. Oh, it's Alec Gunter. Oh shit. I remember you. Who's that handsome guy in the red shirt and the Hunter Biden hat? Thanks for saying you like me. I'm in the Frankie shirt. Hello, that's me, man. Ree. Oh yeah. Nice. Such a simple fact, which is, is welfare ruining single-family parents or creating single-family homes in the black community? There's two avenues you can go to, which is one, why is it not ruining white families then? Or why is there a higher percentage of welfare recipients in the black community versus the white community? If that's the case, maybe there's some systemic reasons as to why that is happening. Or the alternative, which Alec did, is much better in my opinion, which is, okay, well then why won't we just give money to parents in general and not...
That's true. Those are both good responses. And I always like people like, oh, well, welfare is destroying the black family. Well, why didn't it destroy the white family? Isn't the same welfare available to both? It's not like welfare is like racially targeted, right? And then you ask why, and then you move the conversation in that direction. Yeah.
Not only single family households.
Hello?
Hey, since we're on the whole Jubilee thing again, I was actually wondering what your take was on welfare contributing to single mother households in the black community.
I've never in my entire life seen a single piece of evidence to ever support that belief ever. And I think it's wild to insinuate that people make choices around family planning based on welfare acquisition. I'm sure there are some welfare queens. I'm sure it happens. But
Yeah.
like in any appreciable or measurable amount, I've never seen that substantiated with any shred of data ever, that people intentionally keep themselves near poverty lines or do things to like get government welfare by having kids. That's insane to me. But
Yeah, I've never seen any direct causal link. People have made the assumption because of welfare policies, where if there is another income earner in the household, you can't get welfare. But yeah, the idea that that would actually discourage you is kind of weird because you don't get much money from welfare, and having
Yeah.
somebody in the home that can actually earn a living, you'd get more of a benefit from that.
yeah, I think
on
the
top
weird thing
of
is that
the
like people,
relationship.
the way that people talk about these welfare recipients, is they make it seem like they live like these amazingly glorious lives, and that's so obviously not the case.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they got iPhone 6s,
Yeah.
driving nice Acuras. Yeah.
Cadillacs and all, yeah, it's really dumb, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, I think there has been some conservative propaganda that's actually targeted black communities, trying to discourage welfare because I've literally never seen any direct evidence of this. So I think, yeah, I think like actual conservative politicians have just claimed this as an argument to try to get rid of social services.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty.
And then black people are just eating it up.
Sure. I mean, it's a compelling story. Sounds good, I guess, but
Yeah. All right, well, I will be off again, lurking in the shadows until the next time.
okay, be careful.
Take care.
Dude, I love this. I love this. He's like, the only time black people were fucked over in this country was when it was the Dixiecrats doing. Bro, who fucking cares what party they're a part of? They're white supremacists, dumbass. Like, yeah, okay, they were in the Democratic Party. This is where liberalism and like defending liberalism or defending the Democratic Party inevitably falls inevitably falls short of what is necessary. It's like, yeah, sure.
This is why that one dipshit in chat, ASIC or whatever the his name was like, oh, Jesse, you're wrong. This is what I mean, and I was right. Hasan is going to take the opportunity to shit on Democrats and liberals because people on the far left don't consider themselves liberals.
Yeah, they were racist. Like, what do you mean? Fine, I agree with that. We're not playing in a team. Like, I'm not a part of that fucking team, dog. I'm not trying to defend this team. Even if you don't believe that there was a party switch, okay, or the Southern strategy is fake, let's say, who it has a Confederate flag bumper sticker on their truck when they're going over to drive and vote for a fucking Republican. It's Republicans. It's not Democrats that are doing that shit. Republican politicians right now in present day American society are unironically defending the rights of Confederate generals and the right to be celebrated as though that's a right, even though it's not a right.
That's what I said before. Yeah, like if you look at like who's defending the Confederates, like the Democrats were the party of the people that were the KKK and that were really racist. Oh, okay. So if I go and find out who's defending the Confederate statues and everything today, is that the Democrats then? Or if I go and find out who's mad, who's flying Confederate flags or defending like the old statues of the generals, those are Democrats today? Or if I find like who is that? It's not Democrats. Why would you even say that argument? It's so stupid.
In the Klan, it's like, okay, well, why are the Klansmen running on the Republican Party ticket? There was a literal Nazi in Illinois that like won a quarter of the vote, like an actual Nazi, like out and about. I'm saying like he was a part of the American Nazi Party, and he ran in Illinois for the Republican seat, and he won 25% of the fucking vote, dog. The fuck do you mean? Why is he not running on the Democratic Party ticket then?
Black people are so quick now to not branch out and to have new ways of thinking or to go into careers like agriculture and these other career paths that black people don't typically get into. It's not because of racism stopping them from getting in there. It's because we're told for so long that you have to follow this path and you have to think a certain way.
I think.
Wait, what? Bro, did you say black people were not cast out from participating in agriculture? Are you nuts?
I'm misunderstanding something. I don't understand. It sounds like he's saying the exact opposite of that. He's saying that black people are told that we aren't welcome in these areas. We aren't supposed to do these things. But one of us is misunderstanding. I'm not sure who. It sounds like he's saying literally the opposite of what.
Wait, what? That's like the worst one you could pick. And no, I'm not doing like a slavery joke or something. That would be incredibly out of touch and probably racist. I'm talking very specifically, black people were forced out of farming. Okay? In the abolition of slavery, the only time black people were able to participate in agricultural output was literally around sharecropping and not having not unironically owning land. 40 acres and a fucking mule were a promise given to freed slaves that was not followed on. The only reparations were given in the United States of America literally was given to white farmers or white landowners who owned slaves. It was a payment of restitution for the slaves that were forcibly freed. And literally, Steven Crowder made fun of the black farmers. We have to offer some kind of help to black farmers. We have to create programs that engage black people with agricultural production. And Steven Crowder was like, "Oh yeah, what are they going to farm? Hennessy?" I remember that. He's permanently fucking scarred in my mind. So, and he didn't do that voice, by the way. He did the fucking Chris Tucker voice because that's the only voice he has for black people, from Barack Obama to.
I think that, I mean, Hasan's not necessarily wrong, but I don't know if the black guy would disagree with him. I feel like he's just not connecting with what he's saying, maybe. But 40 acres and a mule was not a promise. It was an idea floated by Sherman. I believe after slaves were freed, that never went any further than that. I feel like there was discussion of the 40 acres and a mule thing, but I don't know if any formal promise was actually made. But I do think that there was an issue. I think that in history, I think we have a pattern of you have like an oppressed group, and then the oppressed group gets unoppressed, they get freed. But then when they come back to engage in society as free people, because of the past transgressions, they're kind of like. So black people pick up some kind of agricultural knowledge because they're working in farms and picking cotton and all this shit all day, right? And now they're free people, and it's like, oh, cool, black people are free. They've got some agricultural knowledge. Now they can go and farm. And then black people are like, okay, but we don't have any land. It's like, oh, well, what if instead of being a slave, you come and work as indentured servants doing sharecropping on white farms? And it's like, well, okay. Doesn't seem like we've upgraded that much. And that style of engagement is going to continue to enrich white farmers and kind of continue to for black farmers, but okay. Something similar happened after the Civil Rights Act, to where it's like, hey, you can't get discriminated against for being black for doing a job. And then union people were like, okay, that's fair. No more discrimination. But if you want to work past menial labor and you want to do the really well-paying jobs, you need 10 years of experience doing those kinds of jobs first. And then black people go, okay, well, that's cool that we have the opportunity to promote, except because of racist laws or union rules, we literally weren't allowed to work those jobs. So now you've created a rule that effectively locks all of us out. So we're equal now, but not really. This type of thing seems to happen over and over and over and over and over again, I think.
Morgan Freeman, anytime Steven Crowder tries to do the black voice, is Chris Tucker.
Why do you think some people who are getting into politics gravitate towards Hasan's content? I can understand if the people watching have been left for a while, but I genuinely don't see the appeal of other political commentators. I think Hasan has got a lot that like works in his favor. He looks good, like he's decently funny. He networks really well. Those are the personal things. And then on the other side, his brand of politics and edginess is incredibly safe today, especially among Zoomers. He sits at like the center of just this gravitational center of incredibly safe political content that you are like, anybody could go and say any of the things, even the edgy jokes that Hasan says in almost any setting as a young person, and be immediately socially accepted. I think that his own personal demeanor, the connections that he's made, the fact that he's like decently funny, I guess, to watch, and then the fact that his political ideology is such a very, very, very safe one to follow, especially for young people, especially in college, I think gives him access to a really, really large audience. Why is your brand so unsafe? To be honest, a lot of your takes are pretty boring, but 90% of people IRL who've heard of you think you're the devil. It's hard for me to tell, obviously, because now this is my perspective and my subjective lens of analysis, and it affects me. So you can always just spam cope if it makes you feel bad. But I think that the number one thing that works against me more than anything else is probably the caricatures that other people make of me. Now, it's hard for me to know that exactly, but I think I said this earlier, 99% of the time when a person starts watching my content and she'll say like, oh, I used to be a Vaush fan, or I used to be a Hasan fan, or even people that email me and say, I used to be a Hasan fan, or I used to be a Vaush fan, 99% of the time they tell me they're no longer fans of them or they're fans of me. It's never because they were like, I did some big introspection, I did a lot of critical self-reflection, or I think I've grown and I've changed. It's never that. Usually it's just like, then I saw one of your videos. Like 99% of the time, that's the answer. I used to think this and this and this and I heard that, but then I saw you debate this guy. Then I saw one of your videos. Then I saw something pop up on TikTok from your content. And once I saw that, it was totally different than because if you talk to an average Hasan fan, who's Destiny? I think he's like a really edgy racist guy. I think he wants like BLM protesters to be killed. I think he's really transphobic, probably homophobic. He hates poor people. But then if you listen to literally any debate I've ever done ever, then it's like, oh, the thing that I had in my brain, yeah, it doesn't line up at all, you know? Yeah, I think that most of the time, I think that's the reason why. Some people say like, oh, it's because you use logic and you don't toe a partisan line, blah, blah, blah. I actually don't think that part matters almost at all. I think it's the caricatures that other large content creators create of me in their fans' minds are very, very, very bad. That would be what I would say. But why did the caricatures arise in the first place, though? Could you do that to one of them, or does being more lefty make you immune? Unfortunately, I've built a brand and I've built an image out of being incredibly honest and I'm just jerking myself off. But like honesty and being truthful about people is one of the big things that works in my favor for my brand, but it also works against me a little bit as well. It works in my favor, honestly, because people see that as being a positive trait, so I get a lot of credit from that, especially against audiences like conservatives. However, the issue is that it severely inhibits my ability to lie about other creators. So there's probably been like 2 or 3 times in my career where I've kind of like, I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably shouldn't have said that Demon Mama made that 4chan thread about her, which was, in the grand scheme of things, like a pretty minor lie, and it's not even really, like, she probably did. But like, when I say something about somebody else that's dishonest, my fans will roast the fuck out of me for that, because integrity is a big part of what I do. Now, even though people will say it, integrity isn't really a big part of why you watch Hasan or Vaush. You don't really care about integrity. What you want to hear is you want to hear them roast the fuck out of people you don't like. You want to hear them give you your political partisan lines back at you. You want to hear them make you feel good about watching them and about your takes on the news. That's really why you're watching them. At the end of the day, you don't really care. There's going to be like some baseline of integrity. You assume everybody is, but you don't watch these people because of integrity, right? Like if you're a Vaush or a Hasan fan, these guys can say basically whatever lie they want about me, and it's not going to be a big issue. Like, you don't really care that much, you know?
Conservatives are like, I hate affirmative action. And then they're like, we need to elevate some black people because, you know, we need to hear a black person's perspective defending white supremacy. Affirmative action is in and of itself not a issue unless you are shitting on affirmative action as a black person, then we'll elevate you to a position of power.
That is very true. And it is hypocritical, and Hasan is 100% correct. But it's also true in the reverse as well, right? Don't treat minorities as a monolith. It's not fair to stereotype black people as being criminals. It's not fair to stereotype Hispanics as being rapists or thieves. It's not fair to stereotype these people. However, all black people probably want to abolish the police, and all police are definitely racist against black people. And even when black people are meeting against other black people, it's because of white supremacism. And all brown people are Bernie Sanders supporters, because when I was in Equinox, my one guy was like, "Hola, Hasan, me gusta Bernie Sanders," right? Like, so everybody, this has been increasingly blackpilling for me, but I feel like very, very, very few people actually have political virtues or moral virtues or principles. It's more just kind of like, at the end of the day, what supports my given political position, and then you just kind of run with it, basically. Because it's silly to say like, oh yeah, like, because for Hasan, right, all black conservatives are just bootlickers upholding white supremacy, you know? So it's like, okay.
And I think that every black person knows how to get into college. Every black, I mean, you can pull out the names, the Oprah, President Obama. You can pull out the head of Time Warner was black man, the Forbes was black man. We know what to do now. We don't need a
What the fuck? What are they? What? What's happening?
affirmative action anymore. And to me, affirmative action is offensive sometimes, especially nowadays, because I have 6 children, and 2 boys, 4 girls. And all of them went to Harvard and Columbia and this one and that one. And it breaks my heart to think that they accomplished that.
Yeah, wait, what? That's like, yeah, how do you not understand that,
Careful. Be really careful with this.
like, conservatives are lying? Wait.
They're that.
Yeah, wait.
I have 6 children, and 2 boys, 4 girls. And all of them went to Harvard and Columbia and this one and that one. And it breaks my heart to think that they accomplished that.
Yeah, wait, what? That's like, yeah, how do you not understand that, like, conservatives are lying? Wait, that's so dumb. That's so dumb. Lady, your children deserve to go to those fucking schools. Are you stupid? How did you not understand that?
Oh God, I know he's not directly saying it, but I'm really uncomfortable because it feels like he's implying the same thing that she's saying she hates is the implication. It feels like he's implying that, like, even if they got in via affirmative action, like, which this lady would kill herself if she heard her saying it. I can't, it feels like he's implying that, but maybe not, but it feels like he's so close to it.
Go to those fucking schools. Are you stupid? How did you not understand that your very own children deserve to go to those schools, and you're like, and everybody thinks that, like, they deserve to go to those schools only because of affirmative action? It's like, yeah, no shit. That happened during affirmative action, which means if you personally believe that your children deserve to go to Harvard, you can't be anti-affirmative action. What the f*** is...
Oh God. Oh, it's such a horrible statement to make. It's like the worst. It's like, of all the statements that you could make here, it's like the biggest proof of, like, what this woman is talking about. Like, if you're happy that your black children made it into Ivy League schools, how can you be against policies to help stupid black people get to Ivy League schools, lady? Like, what are you talking? Like, oh God, it's like the worst. It's like he's doing exactly the thing. He's doing exactly the thing that she's complaining about. Oh no.
This makes no sense.
Yeah, it's like he looked forward through like 55 million timelines and he tried to pick the absolute worst one.
That's so stupid. Unless she literally is about to say, like, my kids are fucking dumbasses. Like, they literally took a white person's spot or some shit.
Goal of getting into these institutions just because of the color of their skin.
I can definitely say that it creates a lot of tension when you have affirmative action. I remember my first week at the university.
No, you fucking idiot. The tension is not affirmative action. The tension is white supremacy.
Okay. You can't say you have integrity and do the most bad faith interpretation of what Hasan said. Hasan said that if you're happy that your children went to this school as black children, then you must defend affirmative action. How are those two things linked at all unless you think affirmative action was an integral part about those black children going to that school? That's what, I don't understand what you're saying. That's what it sounds like to me. Am I misinterpreting that? That's not what he said?
Anti-affirmative action. Your conservatives are lying. Wait, that's so dumb. That's so dumb. Lady, your children deserve to go to those fucking schools. Are you stupid? How did you not understand that your very own children deserve to go to those schools, and you're like, and everybody thinks that, like, they deserve to go to those schools only because of affirmative action? It's like, yeah, no shit. That happened during affirmative action, which means if you personally believe that your children deserve to go to Harvard, you can't be anti-affirmative action. What the?
I'm not. I generally try to be good faith because I know Hasan dipshit fans will say I'm being bad faith. I genuinely don't know how else to read that statement, but maybe I'm just missing something. Yeah, maybe I'm just missing something, but that's how I read his statement. He's not necessarily saying that affirmative action is what got them in, but it's a very heavy implication. And it's saying that, like, if you got your black children into Ivy League schools, you must be in favor of a program that accelerates people to get into these schools that otherwise wouldn't deserve to, right? Which is essentially kind of sort of what affirmative action is, right? We're saying somebody can't get there on the merits, but we're going to get them in because of their skin color, which is what this lady is opposed to. You can call me bad faith if you want, or I'm just stupid, I guess, but I don't see another way to read that statement. But
this makes no sense. You fucking idiot. The tension is not affirmative action. The tension is white supremacy. Okay?
I also think that, like, and maybe this is unpopular with progressives, I don't think that you should ever be saying, like, white supremacy or white anything like that. It's just cringe. It's just like, it doesn't mean anything anymore. Everything, especially, like, bro, like, we watch a video of, like, 4 black cops beating up, like, a black guy to death on the street, and it's like white supremacy. Like, it's become such a catch-all for every single boogeyman that you don't like. I think it just needs to stop. Unless you're having, like, a very academic conversation and you want to talk about it, that's fine. But otherwise, it's just like, let's just not do this anymore. It's super soy and super cringe, and I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about half the time.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
dude.
it's definitely not white supremacy. It's the affirmative action that made people racist, my man, for sure. Maybe he has to live with that. Maybe he has to fucking believe that internally, because, like, otherwise he has to recognize that, like, every single person that's propped him up in his career in the conservative media ecosystem is a racist piece of shit.
Is he? God, I feel like you have to be so careful in these conversations, because now isn't he basically saying, like, the only reason these black people are here is because they're black? Isn't he like kind of proving the concept? Like, some people think that affirmative action makes it so you'll never take any black person seriously, and Hasan's like, that would never happen. Literally nobody would think that way. And by the way, the only reason people take you seriously is because you're black. Aren't we kind of? I don't know.
Focus on the underlying point that he's making. He's like, I deserve to go to this college because I worked really hard, okay? And then people think I got here due to affirmative action. That idea, that you have to have enough processing power, okay, to recognize that in that very moment you're like, wait, I didn't get here because of affirmative action. I got here because I worked hard. Hold on.
Yeah, but the whole issue is that you don't know. That's the whole point. I think that's the problem, is he doesn't know because there is affirmative action. That's the whole confusing issue, right? That's the problem. I don't know if Hasan understands that or agrees with that. I don't know.
Maybe that is the case for every single person, and that the conservative media is greatly overgeneralizing and hyping up the impact that affirmative action has had in an effort to cut white supremacist propaganda, but not directly by saying we should segregate schools. No, it's probably not that. Thank you for the fucking $100,000 a year job, Dennis Prager. Like, you can't be a black person who's like, oh, dude, what the fuck? Like, I hate affirmative action, and simultaneously be like, I deserve to be in this college.
I don't have the vocabulary, I don't know how to parse these statements. I don't even know, like, I don't even know how to respond to them. I don't know what to say. I don't understand. I truly just don't understand what he's saying. I can't do it.
Like, you can't be a black person who's like, oh, dude, what the fuck? Like, I hate affirmative action, and simultaneously be like, I deserve to be in this college.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
You know what I mean? There's no way this fucking gnome isn't sitting across from this dude like white knuckling it right now, because he's saying such dumb shit, even if he fucking agrees with him.
How is it dumb? It's not dumb at all. This would be like one of the few points that I could empathize with somebody on. My ex, that used to work for defense contractors. She worked for, she did satellite stuff. I don't know. But, like, she would tell me that, like, it was incredibly aggravating sometimes to hear people say things like, oh, like, wow, you got a physics and an engineering degree and you work here, right? And you're a Hispanic woman? Like, that's really impressive. Like, from what she told me, these were, like, some of the most condescending comments that she ever heard. It was incredibly fucking weird, because, especially when I, like, talk to her, think about her, like, I don't think of, like, oh, like, wow, it's so cool that you're a woman and you're not fucking retarded and you studied physics. Like, good job for being a brown woman. Like, but I imagine, and I can imagine that experience probably goes like forward to other people, other minorities, other women as well, that those are probably some of the most irritating and aggravating comments to hear. Is it like, wow, like you're, or actually it's
How do you feel about Colin Powell? He speaks so well. He's so well spoken. He speaks so well. I mean, he really speaks well. He speaks so well. Speak so well is not a compliment, okay? Speak so well, some shit you say about retarded people that can talk.
But I'm very sympathetic towards this position. Like, I can understand why that would bother somebody. I don't know why he would assume that this is the thing that would trigger me more than anything else on the panel or whatever, right?
That affirmative action is like, even if he agrees right now that Supreme Court decisions, a decision to end affirmative action, in that, like he did the fucking thing where he's like, yeah, I agree with this actually. Even in that moment, because he's making such bad arguments, you know his ass is like probably sitting there going, I want to debate him because he's so stupid. That's a stupid ass argument. He's making a stupid argument.
Did I earn this position?
It's not even an argument, bro. He's just talking about how he feels. Like, he's just saying, like, these are the feelings that I got. How is it? He's not even making an argument.
Myself, or did my ancestors' suffering earn this for me?
And two, I've seen it in the sense of like affirmative action taking away from other people who are minorities. Like I had a friend who was Asian and he in high school and he really wanted to go to MIT. That was his dream school. He interned there. He was super like prepared to go there and he didn't get in. And you can only assume that it was because of affirmative action because they have such a large Asian population that they want to admit other people.
Yeah, I was going to actually argue that it's more racist nowadays because it excludes so many Asian Americans from getting into universities who do deserve a spot and they can't get in because of affirmative action, which again, like you were saying, was necessary at the time. Yeah. But now it's like anybody, if you have...
My controversial opinion on this matter is that it's good that the Supreme Court actually ended affirmative action, only because colleges are still going to do the same exact measurements that they have. Okay, they're still going to do the same shit because they want a diverse learning environment. They don't want Harvard to be exclusively white people, okay? Because even if you are going to become a war criminal later down the line, as many Harvard education...
He's just referring to the fact that a lot of presidents have Ivy League educations and he thinks every president is a war criminal. That's what he means when he says that statement. Sorry.
Recipients do become, okay? You still need to learn about that shit in an environment that is diverse where you can at least, like, you know, work around black people without, like, blurting out...
Learning how to do war crimes in a diverse environment? I don't even know what the point he's trying to make right now. I don't even understand
the most racist shit possible, because that is what America is. America is a very diverse country. One of the most diverse nations on the planet, as a matter of fact. So it don't fucking matter. You need to get a level of DEI, and colleges know that. And that's precisely the reason why they're like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you took down affirmative action. We're still going to have, and I'm willing to bet that they're still going to have similar fucking percentages where they have a holistic approach to their admissions process, which is completely reasonable, and that they are going to find either other ways, maybe a class-based affirmative action, or, which would be great, by the way, totally desirable, or just the same exact fucking metrics that they have for admissions, which end up creating identical demographic, identical demographics in the applicant process, in the applicants that were accepted in the college. That's it. That's it. Because the reality is, affirmative action is not a fucking, like, literal solution to racism. It was never that. If anything, it's like, it's a mechanism so that, like, people who want to churn out white supremacist, capitalist, systemic violence,
Jesus, white
can
supremacist,
learn
capitalist,
in an
systemic
environment that's diverse enough so they can do it better.
Jesus, so many buzzwords, like it's all like Jesus.
Want to churn out white supremacist, capitalist, systemic violence.
He's like, we need they've got it. It's like the rule of three, okay? White supremacist, capitalist, systemic violence. Okay, there we go.
And learn in an environment that's diverse enough so they can do it better. Okay, that's it.
I don't think affirmative action is the worst thing, considering all the different types or aspects of a background you might take into account when somebody's getting into college, whether they were in certain clubs, you know, Boy Scouts, what type of classes they took. That might not be available to everybody. I don't think that factoring in the affirmative action is necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like because of everything you guys have said, the optics behind it are so horrible today that even if it is slightly beneficial in the long run for certain people, I think we can probably refocus most of that into...
God, I hate liberals so much. Oh my God.
God, nothing is more, you know what's more cringe than a liberal? It's a liberal LARPing as a lefty who lives the most hyper-consumerist, shallow form of a capitalist life than literally any other capitalist I fucking know. Like, Andrew Tate and Hasanabe are right next to each other, except instead of Bugattis, it's $7,000 shirts and private jet rides from his $3 million Hollywood mansion to fucking Burning Man. Like, bro, come on. You can't have that many fucking rings on your finger and be like, I hate liberalism. Like, Jesus Christ. It's so cringe.
Dude. First of all, he basically just said what I said jokingly. Okay?
Okay, when he said it, he was saying it jokingly. Okay, gotcha. All right.
The difference is he's serious about it, and he's willing to say affirmative action should be ended. Okay? But it's fucking frustrating because it's like, who gives a f? If it's just simply an optics situation, then yeah, you should, I don't know, fix it by doing a decent amount of propaganda in that direction. But nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to work anymore, except for conservatives.
Nobody wants to work anymore? Bro's literally the laziest motherfucker in the world. The only activism this motherfucker does is donation drives from the seat of his audience, or going out to actually join a strike if he can talk to celebrities because they work for writers in Hollywood. Or the one time he went to a protest because two 15-year-old female fans finally put a TikTok out saying, Hasan, where the fuck are you? Why are you the largest lefty representative online, and the only amount of activism you've ever done is having AOC on to play Among Us? The fuck out of here, dude.
They will work really hard to fix the optics of like unimaginably bad positions. That's why the conversation around abortion is about protecting life. Can you imagine? Like, it's literally a medical process that Republicans have decided is like, nah, that's...
Do you know what else is only a medical process? Is the lethal injection. I mean, what do you mean? Obviously, the disagreements over abortion are whether or not the fetus is a human life or not.
It's actually life. They don't even give a fuck about it. If it was literally murder, they wouldn't care and make ectopic pregnancy provisions, or they wouldn't make...
This is like one of the few things that almost every fucking person believes, is that for like ectopic pregnancy, like I'm pretty sure even that Trek guy, I think most people agree that like, listen, if the life of the mother is in danger, probably should have an exception. I think almost everybody agrees with that.
They wouldn't make provisions or exceptions for rape or incest, and some don't, but most do. Why? If it's murder, it's murder, you fucking piece of shit.
Oh.
Why are you fucking sitting there and being like, well, some murder is fine?
I mean, that's true. If you're a conservative and you're pro-life, is what we would call you. If you're a conservative and you're pro-life, you can't make exceptions for, incest or rape. You cannot do that. You have to be consistent on that. It's the worst experience to have. But that Trent guy even agreed with me when we debated that, yeah.
Why? Why are they doing that? Because they recognize that it's bullshit. Because it's propaganda. Because they know that the optics don't matter. If you scream more and more and more about a particular thing, you can change enough people's minds. And even if you don't change their minds, it doesn't fucking matter. You can still absolutely control the narrative. You pluck a couple people from different backgrounds that, due to financial hangups and systemic racism, may or may not have been able to be in the selections process on paper, because on paper they still have great grades, because it's not like, black kids with like who are getting Fs all year round are being like put into Harvard instead of a guy who's an A+, college student who's white, and they're like, F you white kid, like you're not getting in, or like, oh, F you Asian kid who studied really hard, we're gonna get this dumbass black kid here. Like, that's not how it works. That's just like, that's made up. And that's precisely why the black conservatives on that panel are like, my children worked really hard to get to the position that they got to, and they literally didn't even everyone said they got there because of affirmative action. That's why we need to end it. It's like, yeah, you just admitted that it's fucking bullshit. You just admitted as a black conservative that the conservative line on affirmative action is bullshit. Okay?
I don't see how he's drawing this thing. He's saying that their black students deserve to be there because they worked hard, but they're worried that affirmative action is undermining the hard work they've done. That's the argument that they're making. I don't understand how. I don't understand, but I don't understand how either Hasan is missing that or I'm not understanding what he's saying.
If affirmative action accomplished its purpose, why do we still see the disparities that we do in the professional workplace? If you average white wealth and compare it to black wealth totals.
Oh, no, wait, it's not.
White people as a whole have about 50 times greater wealth than black people as a whole per capita. So I just don't understand why you think affirmative action has accomplished its purpose. I don't see
Curious, why do you assume that just because there is a disparity means it's because of a racial issue?
What else would it be from?
I mean,
upbringing, economic abilities,
Desire to
skills.
go, desire to.
I mean, zip code does play a lot. If you grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma, you're not as likely to do as well in school. Which, if you curious, why?
What?
There ain't no fucking way. Dude, black conservatives defend conservatism without being like inherently racist challenge, impossible difficulty. Because it is.
Wait, what was the racism part?
It's literally impossible. Like they just sat there and literally went, yeah, it's because we have a different culture that's like inferior. That's a wild thing to say.
And every single, where I grew up, every single black, not black conservatives, I don't believe they're conservative, but every single black Lutheran household that I grew up around would have said the exact same thing. I've said this a million times and I'll continue to say it. Like I said, like, bro, the least likely area you would ever find like rap CDs or any shit like that is going to be in like any of those black households. Like those kids had their pants pulled up. Those kids were not listening to any of that kind of fucking music. Like, I feel like Hasan thinks it's only, or maybe Hasan would say those black fathers were white supremacists. I don't know. Maybe he would actually. Yeah, he might actually just say that. Never mind. Never mind. Forget what I just said. Forget it. Yeah, I don't know.
What are you saying? Like we just culturally are inferior and don't have any desire for success. Like that's an insane thing to say. You're a black person. Why are you saying that? Like any white person that says that, I think, okay, here's what I think, okay?
Tell us. What do you think, bud?
I think black conservatives are so permanently one note. Because like the entire purpose in the eyes of like conservatives and the conservative movement as a whole is to like build that racial gap and be like, you're the black face on white supremacy now. You're going to say the same shit because you believe the same shit that I believe, right? But it's like way better. It's way better that you say it because then other people feel less racist about saying it, right? Clan de Sowens. They're so fucking one note that they forget that there are people around them that are going to go, hold up, what are you saying right now? Did you just say that like there is a racial component to like there's a cultural inferiority across the board on the entire black race? Like what?
But I think that's exactly what a lot of black people, a lot of black conservatives would argue. I think there are ways that you can tango with that argument, but that argument's not even really that crazy because you could argue in one sense, Hasan is kind of making the exact same argument about white people. If you consider white supremacy to be a cultural relic of the history of the United States, in a way, white supremacy is like bad culture. Except from white people, right? Now, is that because white people are racially superior or inferior or racially like prone to being racist or whatever? I don't think Hasan would say that, but like you could arguably say the same thing, right?
Like that's if a white person says that, you know, you're conditioned into understanding like, oh, that's just like a guy being racist.
Just don't understand why you think affirmative action has accomplished its purpose.
I do like how Hasan gives away the whole game plan there, though, right? Like, as long as I can just write this person off as a racist, I don't actually have to like ever consider ever what this guy is saying. Like, he's racist. Boom, we're done. Whew, don't have to like, whew, no thoughts, nothing uncomfortable. Just boom, he's racist. Don't have to even think about it.
I don't see
curious. Why do you assume that just because there is a disparity means it's because of a racial issue?
What else would it be from?
I mean,
upbringing, economic abilities,
desire
skills.
to go, desire to.
I mean, zip code does play a lot. If you grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma, you're not as likely to do as well in school, which means you're.
Why did they grow up in a?
Okay, that's great. Oh, Alec, good job. Holy
Neighborhood
shit.
that experiences a lot of trauma.
I mean, lots of people do.
Yes,
live in
but
a-
why specifically do more black people?
Government assistance programs.
Government assistance programs, like what?
Try redlining.
I mean, you can go into that if you'd like to, but let's
It
take a
is
look
relevant.
at the Great Societies Act, which was...
Wait. Bro, come on, dude. Come on. You're not going to do the Ben Shapiro line on redlining, right? Like financial institutions were perfectly valid in not giving black people loans because they think that black people are...
Does Ben Shapiro make that argument on redlining? Because if so, that's pretty sad.
Okay, so there's a video that is going around on Facebook and on YouTube. It's from ACT TV called Systemic Racism. Explain some interesting arguments, and I thought it's worthwhile going through them a little bit. So we're going to play the video, we'll stop, and we'll discuss. This video is sponsored by the Benham Brothers' brand new course, Expert Ownership. You can learn to own a business without it owning you. Stick around to the end of the video to find out more details.
This is Jamal. Jamal's a boy who lives in a poor neighborhood. He has a friend named Kevin, who lives in a wealthy neighborhood. All of Jamal's neighbors are African American, and all of Kevin's neighbors are white. Because Jamal's school district is mostly funded by property taxes, his school is not very well funded. His classrooms are overcrowded, his teachers are underpaid, and he doesn't have access to high-quality tutors or extracurricular activities. Kevin's school district is also funded by property taxes, so his school is very well funded. His classrooms are never crowded, his teachers are very well paid, and he has access to high-quality tutors and lots of extracurricular activities.
So let's talk for a second about school policy. The reality is that if you wanted Jamal to be able to go to Kevin's school, what you want is something called school vouchers. You want people to be able to move.
So normally these videos, these little fun videos are dog shit, but everything said in that video so far, I think we did react to this a long time ago. Everything said in that video so far is 100% true, and it is a big problem. And school vouchers are not the correct decision, okay? Well, are you gonna voucher every single kid out of the poor school to the rich school? Like, are people in the rich schools even gonna be okay with kids vouchering in from the poor schools? Like, what does that say about our poor schools that are now having no funding and no support because now kids are all going to the same school? Is there even enough space for them? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Vouchers are just not a way to do this ever. I don't think it makes any sense.
Away from their school districts. One of the chief reasons that Jamal is confined to his local public school is because of democratic policy that has decided that you must go to school in the district where you live. And this is also why a lot of people have left lower income areas and moved out to higher income areas specifically for better public schools. So if you want Jamal to have the same educational opportunities as Kevin, perhaps you should have school vouchers for private schools, or perhaps you should have charter schools, which is what Mayor Bill de Blasio in New York is fighting against, or perhaps you should break the teachers unions, which are costing a fortune, particularly on a disproportionate level in areas where they're not spending enough taxpayer dollars. So I'm all for improving Jamal's schools. I'm also all for Jamal having all the same educational opportunities as Kevin. The problem is most Democrats are not.
Kevin and Jamal live only a few streets away from each other. So how come they're growing up in such different worlds with such different opportunities for success? The answer has to do with America's history of systemic racism. To understand it better, let's look at what life was like for Kevin and Jamal's grandparents.
In order to understand what's going to happen in this video, you have to understand how systemic racism is being defined. Systemic racism is a really amorphous term. It could mean many things. It could mean that the institutions of today are racist, in which case everyone would oppose them. Or it could mean that all inequality is explainable by racism, which of course is not sustainable. It's not a good argument. The argument that this video is going to try to make is that all of history has meaning. And that is true. History does have consequences for today. The problem is, as we'll see, the video tries to explain all inequality with reliance on history and no inequality with response to exacerbating levels of income inequality, exacerbating levels of single motherhood, personal decision making, or any of the other variables that could come into creating the gaps we see today.
Decades after the Civil War, many government agencies started to draw maps dividing cities into sections that were either desirable or undesirable for investment. This practice was called redlining, and it usually blocked off entire black neighborhoods from access to private and public investment. Banks and insurance companies used these maps for decades to deny black people loans and other services based purely on...
Okay. Ooh, I should look this up. My understanding is that this video is actually understating the racial aspects of this. It wasn't just that neighborhoods were marked for good or bad investment, or that some people were turned down because they didn't have the money to make the investment in these neighborhoods. I thought some banks literally had like no Negro zoning sections for neighborhoods. Like you were not allowed, even if you had the money, you were not allowed to move there as a black person. Fuck, I wonder if I could find this quickly. My understanding is that some of the redlining was literally and explicitly called out by race. It wasn't just a... I thought we actually saw documents. I feel like I looked at this. I feel like we researched this like 2 or 3 years ago, and I thought we actually saw bank documents that literally said on the documents. Also, many HOAs and deeds for houses say no blacks, Jews, or Mexicans. My house has that on the deed, and it can't be sold to any of them. Oh, my house has on the deed that it can't be sold. I don't ever want you to like take my word for this on anything. Oh, okay. So like this was I believe this was like a document. Philadelphia HOLC redlining zone descriptions 1937. Name of city, suburb, I guess of Philadelphia or something. Security grade A, area number 1, description of terrain, rolling, favorable influences, highly desirable, well restricted. Inhabitants type, execs professional, estimated annual family income over $5,000, foreign born, no. Population is increasing slowly, relief families, no. And if you scroll down on this, I feel like, I want to say it explicitly says in this document. You missed it, is it near the top? Oh, did I pass it? Oh, yeah, Negro, no. Like, this is not like, doesn't have enough money, isn't wealthy enough, can't afford down payment. It's just like, it's explicitly no. Sorry. Normally these like little SJW videos or whatever, normally they're like pretty shitty, but I'm surprised. I feel like even in their video, I think they understate the racism that went into redlining. It was not just they marked areas for poor investment, blah, blah, blah. It was race was explicitly called out to deny people housing.
To private and public investment. Banks and insurance companies use these maps for decades to deny black people loans and other services based purely on race. Historically speaking.
Well, I'm sorry. He did say that there, based purely on race. He did say that at the end. That, to be fair, he did. Okay.
Getting a home and getting a college education is the easiest way for an American family to build wealth. But when Jamal's grandparents...
I'm so curious if Ben Shapiro's going to deny that.
...wanted to buy a house, the banks refused because they lived in a neighborhood that was redlined. So Jamal's grandparents were not able to buy a home, and because colleges could prevent them from attending through legal segregation, their options for higher education were really scarce.
So let's talk about redlining. Redlining became illegal in the United States as early as 1968. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act was followed by the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act in 1975, which was a predecessor to the Community Reinvestment Act, both of which were an attempt to ensure that people who were living in low-income minority neighborhoods could actually get loans. And these things were very effective. In 1992, researchers at the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston tried to look at the data. They collected information on some 30 variables related to lending decisions. They found that virtually all of the difference between minority and non-minority denial rates was explained by those variables. A reanalysis of that information found that black-owned banks were actually lending to white-owned and non-minority. Tried to look at the data. They collected information on some 30 variables related to lending decisions. They found that virtually all of the difference between minority and non-minority denial rates was explained by those variables. A reanalysis of that information.
Oh, he's not denying redlining, but he's using a very crude analysis. And he's trying to say that after these laws were passed, from the 70s onwards, people were no longer making racial decisions. I can probably believe that, give or take, depending on the particular state that you lived in, right? Connecticut, New York, probably. Louisiana, Alabama, maybe not, right? Depending on where you lived in, I could probably buy that. But the issue here isn't from the 70s and onwards, or the 80s and onwards. The issue here is this wealth is generational. Now, as much as from a personal financial point of view, I'll tell you, using houses are that's a shitty investment, and you shouldn't be thinking about that as your primary investment vehicle. The reality is, for most families, that is their primary investment vehicle. Most families build wealth through owning homes. That's just how because people suck at finances, that's how most people build wealth. And when black people generationally are being denied access to housing, you can't say that in 2 generations, that issue is gonna be fixed. In 2 generations? In 2 generations? Because one state in 1968 outlawed redlining? In 2 generations, it's fixed? That's wild. Or in 2 generations, or is it in 1 generation? 1968. When was my mom born? My mom is 6 years old? My mom might have been born in 68. We might be talking, you responded to that exact video before? Yeah, I remember watching it. That might be 1 generation. That might be a single generation that we're talking about. Like, that's such a wildly stupid, yeah, I don't know. Destiny, why is it shitty for wealth housing? Because houses, in my personal opinion, homes are bad vehicles for wealth because 1, it's not something that just appreciates in value. It's a liability as well. You've got to pay to upkeep it. 2, it's very hard to pull cash out of a house. You've got to use like annuities. I think you can use an annuity for a house or like a reverse mortgage. I don't remember if you can put houses in annuities or not. HELOCs, home equity line of credit. They're just houses are very illiquid. You can't pull money out of them easily. They can end up becoming liabilities. It's not guaranteed to be an asset. It doesn't generate any revenue for you like returns on investments will. It could be a bad investment if you get a house at the wrong time or in the wrong area. It's just like, a house is your primary investment vehicle. It's the most common thing that people do, so be aware of that. Where's Caleb Hammer? That guy was watching my stream the other day. I wonder if he agrees with me. It's just, I think it's a shitty thing to do, but people do it. That's just how people view it, but yeah. Destiny, asking his 19-year-old, what are examples of better investments of property? If I can give you a couple of key investment points, just 2 things. These are two things. These are super basic. Nobody will disagree with me when I say this, okay? 2 things. 1, max out your IRA. Always max out your IRA. It's such a tax advantage investment. The government limits it heavily because of how tax advantage is. Always max out your IRA is number 1. And number 2, always, if you work a job and they've got a 401k match, always hit your 401k match. You will never get a free auto 20 to 50% appreciation on your money in any investment in your life. Most companies will match anywhere from 3 to 6%. Usually they match 50%. I've seen less, I've seen a little more, just depends. I've seen some people match 100%. But 401k matches and your IRA investments, these are like your 2 fundamental ones. Bro, if you start maxing these out when you're like 20, damn, if starting balance is 0, let's say you hit your $5,000 contribution, let's say you start at, let's say 21, and that might be a lot, because that's what we're talking, like $400 a month into, that might be at 21 years old, that might be a lot, sure. We'll say we're retired at 65, I don't want gross income or anything like that. If you only, I think this is true, if you only did an IRA, oh fuck, hold on. If you only did an IRA contribution, you would have, this is literally only your IRA, you'd have over $1 million just at $400 a month, right? That's at 65 too. That's if you start at 21. Yeah, IRAs are very, very, very tax advantaged. And technically, this would be your IRA. You would get this before taxes because if you're traditional versus a Roth, you can avoid taxes on the front or back, depending how it goes. But like, yeah, IRAs are very, very tax advantaged. You ever getting an HSA and rollover memes? I don't do HSAs because my health is perfect and I don't need to invest in my health. So suck it, suck my dick, suck my dick. How can a mortgage be a bad investment if a significant portion of your income goes to rent for like lower middle income people? Because when you pay rent, you're paying for a place to live. Same thing when you pay a mortgage. Bro, most of the money for your mortgage also evaporates into thin air. It's called interest, okay? People be like, mortgage heads, what's like a slur that we could use for people with mortgages? Like we've got breeders for heterosexual people. We've got mongoloids for monogamous people. What can we say for morgies? Yeah. Morgies, okay? Morgoids. I like that one, okay? Morgoids in chat will attack the renter Chads. Amortization? Is that the right word? I spelled that correctly. Morgoids in chat will be like, oh, well, when you pay rent, you're just throwing it into fucking thin air and it's disappearing. And they have no idea what their average payment looks like on their fucking mortgage. On a $330,000 loan, after 10 years of making payments, you've got $60,000 of equity and you've paid over $160,000 in interest. And that, we're not even talking about all the other shit you pay as part of your escrow account, which is a separate payment that you make from your mortgage account. In your mortgage account, you pay into your mortgage, and your mortgage is going to be your interest plus your principal. And for the first 15 years, you're paying more interest than principal. Then you've got something else called an escrow account. And from that account, you pay insurance, you might pay mortgage insurance, you pay property taxes. There's so many things. So morgoids are sitting here setting their fucking money on fire. And if you move before 5 years, fuck it, you've lost money. Chances are, if you buy a house and you move out within 5 years, and it's probably even worse now, if you bought a house a couple years ago when interest rates were 0, and now interest rates are 15 inches of Jerome BBC right up your financial ass, okay? If you bought a house a few years ago, now you're triple fucked, okay? Because you bought into the memes of like, oh, houses are always appreciating assets and they should be fine, and oops, did interest rates just increase 6 points? Fuck me. You're gonna be upside down on that loan for a while, okay? But anyway, okay, I don't care. This is random shit. Don't worry about any of this. Hold on. Let me use the rest real quick. Destiny owns a house. Oh, I am a morgoid. But that's because I need a house for my kid to live in, okay? But don't worry. My kid has 6 years left. Once he's 18, I'm going to kick both of them out of that house. It's time to go get a fucking job, Nathan. Get out of my house.
Found that black-owned banks were actually lending to white-owned businesses at higher rates than they were lending to black-owned businesses. Furthermore, if it seemed that banks were discriminating against black borrowers on the basis of they needed to have higher credit qualifications, what you would see is lower default rates from black clients of banks, from people who are borrowing money from banks in the black community. There are 0 studies that show any lending to white-owned businesses at higher rates than they were
a video into a video into a video deep. I just realized that. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me finish watching like 20 seconds of this.
lending to black-owned businesses. Furthermore, if it seemed that banks were discriminating against black borrowers on the basis of they needed to have higher credit qualifications, what you would see is lower default rates from black clients of banks, from people who are borrowing money from banks in the black community. There are 0 studies that show any of this. So the bottom line is this: redlining was an evil and awful policy. It was made illegal in the 1960s. By the 1980s, the banks were not lending at disproportionate rates. In fact, if you look at among different communities, as Thomas Sowell has pointed out, Asian Americans.
Okay, Saul. He brings up Saul. Okay, so Ben Shapiro doesn't deny redlining. He's using a very crude and dumb way to analyze that redlining should have no or little impact today.
Or what? Culturally inferior? Throw a line on redlining, right?
Eddie's Act, which was.
But also, oh, you can see an example here also. Notice the difference between how Hasan deals with somebody versus how I deal with it. So Hasan made a claim about Ben Shapiro that I I could believe Ben maybe saying that, but when I found the source of the video, I looked at the video, I listened to it, and now I understand what Hasan is saying here about Ben Shapiro is not true, right? But notice how Hasan gives a caricature of him, and his whole audience can always come away from it thinking like, oh yeah, Ben Shapiro doesn't believe that redlining is real, but I went and found the original video, I watched it, and now I know Ben Shapiro says something stupid. To imagine that one generation is enough to wipe away the effects of redlining is stupid, but it's not like he denies that redlining happened, right? That's the difference between how we engage with people we don't like.
Wait. Bro, come on, dude. Come on. You're not gonna fucking do the Ben Shapiro line on redlining, right? Like financial institutions were perfectly valid in not giving black people loans because they think that black people are what, culturally inferior and
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. It's not even that he misquotes him. Hasan gives a far more bad faith. Not bad faith. Hasan just straight out lies. Ben Shapiro explicitly says that redlining was a horrible and bad and evil policy. I think he explicitly said that verbatim in the video. He just doesn't think it's impactful today because from the 90s and onwards, it doesn't seem like there was racially motivated decisions in lending people money. So Hasan is not just like misquoting or making a mistake. He's making a grossly incorrect characterization. He's flat out lying, and he's giving the contrary, the opposite opinion of what Ben Shapiro has about redlining here. Okay, that's the difference. All right.
Line on red.
Oh, I'll give one caveat. Unless maybe Hasan is referring to a Ben Shapiro quote that I don't know, that I haven't seen. Maybe Ben Shapiro said something different recently that I haven't seen. That's possible, sure.
Lining, right? Like financial institutions were perfectly valid in not giving black people loans because they think that black people are what, culturally inferior and can't.
But no, I'm sorry, actually, because I know Ben Shapiro's shit. I've watched enough of it. I don't think Ben Shapiro would say that. Ben Shapiro's, if we're gonna call Ben Shapiro's racism, it's gonna be like in the rap music makes black people bad people. It's not gonna be like in the you should be able to be racist. Ben Shapiro's. If we're going to say he has racism, it's going to come out like a neocon does, where a neocon's going to be like, no welfare for black people, they need to work harder. It's not literally going to be like, we should be able to discriminate against them because of the color of their skin. That's a really old school style of racism, or a very deep South style of racism that I don't think has had like mainstay popularity in the conservative movement in the United States for at least in my lifetime. But you know, I don't know.
Fucking pay their loans? Is that what you're going to say? That's the Ben Shapiro justification for redlining, by the way. It's like a bank is supposed to give money to people that they think are going to pay for it. And it's like, yeah, well, that's the point. Like, the banks did that, and that's racist.
Wait, what? No, that's not even... No, that's not what they did. And that wouldn't even necessarily be racist. How does he come away summarizing Ben Shapiro's take incorrectly and then also somehow giving the wrong or incorrect take on it? Wait, what? Okay.
Anyway.
Created to kick black fathers out of the home and get black mothers on welfare assistance. These things aren't beneficial for economics. These things aren't beneficial for actually paving a way for success for black children and black families. I mean, reducing a two-family household to a one-family household isn't going to make them the richest man in the world. It isn't even going to get them out of high school. Nonetheless, the ability to even get to college.
You mean two-parent?
The child, yes, but a two-parent household in comparison to a one-parent household, that child...
Bro, I love this take, man. It's like you're recognizing that there are... It's such cope. It's such fucking incredible cope from black conservatives to be like, yeah, it's actually the systems that are at fault, certainly, because you can't say that like openly. You can't openly be like, yeah, black people are inferior because everyone's going to say you're fucking Jesse Lee Peterson if you say that as a black conservative. So you're like, yeah, the systems are at fault actually, but like the systems are at fault for giving welfare to everyone, but it just like somehow hurt black communities more. And it's a hilarious cope to claim that systemic moves can impact the black community in this negative way, but not the criminal justice.
Oh, sorry. Apparently that brothel that got raided was not shut down for child sex trafficking. Okay, there you go.
Justice system.
Something I think that this conversation illustrates is that like affirmative action is literally the very end of the line of a lot of different parts of a person's life. And by that point, trying to rectify all of the inequities that have existed, to try to remedy any of that at the very end with affirmative action, it might just be too broad a brush. And maybe
that's correct.
Thanks.
That is correct. That's why I always say affirmative action is a Band-Aid solution. He's right. He's not wrong.
Thank you.
Okay.
True.
He might be the most biased demon on the fucking planet when it comes to issues that pertain to me, or whatever flavor of the month has like pissed him off personally. So now like every person from that marginalized background is now a villain, and he will do anything and everything to be like incredibly fucking annoying about it. But he's right about this. He's correct.
I love how every single time he agrees with me, I like how he has to caveat like so hard, like 50 million different ways before he says anything nice. It's so fucking funny.
Affirmative action is a band-aid solution. Why? Because there is a metric ton of other shit that goes wrong before you even get to that position of elevation where you can like finally go to fucking college. That's it. It's fair, but that doesn't mean you have to remove it because of optics. Yeah, no, it's the major reason why I don't like removing affirmative action is it's twofold. One, there are no legal protections for discrimination when that happens, or at least like it's one.
There are no legal protections for discriminations? Wait, what does he mean when he says that?
Like, implementing further legal discriminations. Okay, so that's number one. You're chipping away at it slowly but surely. That's what Republicans do, and they're just now feeling more they're feeling more confident than ever to do so. Two, it has a really shitty like, I guess not spiritual effect, but it's basically just like telling black people to listen, like, we gave you this fucking band-aid, right? We bullied you with this band-aid to make it seem like any black person that has risen to a position of power was put there, was plucked and placed there when they didn't deserve it. And then now we're taking the fucking band-aid away. Fuck you. And like, what does that do? That galvanizes white supremacist perspectives in society. Ugh. And it tells black people, like, double fuck you. We've been fucking you, and now here's another one, okay? Fuck you and fuck you. Here's two of my friends. They came along for the ride. And it's like, that sucks. So I do recognize that, like I said, affirmative action, band-aid solution, clearly, like, material restitution needs to happen. There are way bigger scars that impact the black and brown communities, impact poor communities in general. But, like, sometimes it's fine to have a fucking band-aid, guys. You know what I mean? It's okay. You don't have to sit there and defend it like it's the most significant thing on the planet, which many people don't even do. Okay?
Okay.
But, like, it's okay to have a band-aid from time to time. You know what I mean? It's okay to at least, like, have the federal government be like, yeah, fuck these racist pieces of shit. Yeah, we are going to actually help, marginalized communities a little bit. It's the least we can do.
Okay.
What? Oh my God! Please stop. Why are there so many fucking both sides Andys in here? Please just
not both sides
man, if you're like a
Andys.
fan of mine and also Destiny, just shut the fuck up for the duration of this, okay? I don't give a fuck about your perspective. I genuinely don't care. Suck my dick.
Damn.
Okay.
He's getting triggered.
Shut the fuck up. You know, just shut the fuck up, please.
Throw a kid who maybe, can barely read at a 6th grade level into a college to hope that that's the thing that fixes the problem at the end of the line.
Clarence Thomas is like the perfect example, regardless of what you think about him. He was able to get to Harvard because of affirmative action, because, it focused on finding people that were, again, like just overlooked for those.
But things in.
Oh shit! Nope, that's not. You're not supposed to say that. What the? Bro, he did not just, as the white liberal, be like, Clarence Thomas only got to Harvard because he's black. That's crazy. Like, what the fuck? I mean, it's funny to see.
Yeah.
It's funny to see this because, like, honestly, get mad at me all you fucking want, but it's kind of funny to see him say that as the white liberal. Okay, in that panel, because now you have this weird moment for all the black conservatives to be like, wait, what did you just say? He crossed them up by being like, Clarence Thomas is a recipient of affirmative action. And now she's like glitching. She's like, actually, it was good at first when he was there. And then it's no.
Didn't she initially say, wasn't the first thing she said about affirmative action was that it's run its course? Which implies that she does believe it. I thought that was the very first thing she said. So I don't think she's contradicted herself at all, but maybe he just doesn't remember her saying that.
Longer good. To which your response should be, okay, what about your 5 kids? Now,
what?
That, optically, is not a great thing to say, especially if you say it like, well, your kids are affirmative action recipients.
Why does he keep harping on this point that the other Hasan fans in my chat said that he wasn't making, by the way? You guys keep saying this isn't what he meant, but he keeps making this point, which I feel like is like the worst fucking point to make.
The more careful and delicate way of covering this would be, I think your kids deserve to go to Harvard. Why are you undermining their accomplishments? Or if you recognize that they deserve to go to Harvard, then you understand that affirmative action is not just simply elevating black kids from black kids who are not worthy of going to Harvard to get to Harvard.
Hispanic, one this, one that.
That's not how that works.
But hey, talk to the corporations, talk to the people who hire, talk to the board members who say we need to have a woman on the board, we need to have a black on the board, we need to have a Latina, a Latinx, whatever, on the board. So it morphed from helping us into now
tokenization.
Yes.
Bro, there ain't no fucking way this dingus is sitting in the worst way I've ever seen, by the way. Anyone said.
We still see really, really bad inequality. So if you're going to get rid of affirmative action, what's the replacement?
Meritocracy.
There's no meritocracy.
Oh, God, meritocracy, a laughable concept. Get the fuck out of here.
This country. You look at Elon.
Bro, that's how you know capitalism is America's religion, dude. Real religion. Straight up. And straight up, no matter what, black, white, at a certain point when that fucking penetrates your brain, like the American capitalist brain rot seeps in and you believe that dogma, you're like, meritocracy, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Sure.
Musk, he's destroying Twitter.
The funniest thing is one of the greatest successes of like capitalism and the kind of global culture we have right now is it's so seamlessly and fluidly able to integrate its criticisms into itself. That's why we're watching a guy who is supposedly a socialist making millions of dollars from an organization that's owned by Jeff Bezos that he lambasts every single day, right? This is capitalism integrating its very own criticism into itself and then becoming part of itself. It's one of the big successes of, broadly speaking, global liberal capitalist society.
It's not even just Elon Musk. How can you say there's any meritocracy in a structure where black people have literally been enslaved and no economic restitutions have been made, and this conversation in and of itself is one where we are denying all of that and refusing to even and justifying the one fucking Band-Aid that we gave to black people that wasn't all that significant at all, and celebrating that we took that away. How can you say that there's any meritocracy? Equality of opportunity has never existed in this country. It's never existed anywhere around the world, let's be real.
It's not a myth that there are like minorities that are being put into colleges that they're not ready for. If you look at a lot of these top universities, including Harvard, Yale, etc., you're going to see a lot of minorities on academic probation because they are being placed in universities that they are not ready for. They are not cut out for that just yet.
That's awesome. Bro, this guy is just a racist. Holy
Well, so what he's talking about, this is called mismatch theory, and there is some research to support this idea. Although, to be fair, I've seen like conflicting research back and forth. Although the conflicting research, I think we read it when Fire was on stream. I'm actually not as convinced by the opposition side to that. But yeah, but I mean, like there is research on this. It's called mismatch theory. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and take a hard stance one or another on it. But
he said black people are just not ready for Harvard.
That's not what he said at all. What a horrible summary of what he just said. Jesus.
Dude. I have 2 takes on this. 1, this is irrelevant to the main point of contention here. Anytime you see like a fucking normie ass looking white guy with a shit ton of tattoos Imagine them without tattoos, okay? Also, I forgot to run the ad break again. I'm going to run it now. 2. Okay? Remember that. Adam Levine or whatever, imagine him without tattoos. He just looks mid, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, anytime you fucking see a black conservative just say some out-of-pocket shit, just think for a moment how you would feel if a white person said it. Because their job there is literally to repeat an incredibly racist, incredibly white supremacist take.
Notice how he's doing the thing. Hasan is the reason why, like, I think Jubilee, people like him are the reason why the people that work at Jubilee like to make these videos. Because Hasan is literally, I feel like half of his criticism has been like, black guy says something and Hasan goes, notice how he's black? Notice how the black guy is saying the white supremacist talking points? So something that I think is really interesting is that this guy is black, but yet he's racist. Notice how this black conservative is actually a white supremacist. Imagine if instead he was black. Imagine if he was white and he didn't have tattoos and he was white instead of black, saying these that's like half of his criticism for this. Like, Jesus.
But because they're black, you're not immediately conditioned to be like, what the fuck did you just say? Okay? There is 0% chance, dude. You are like a monster if you legitimately are like, man, those blacks, they just don't fucking know. They don't know what Harvard's like. They're not ready for it. Like, that's crazy. You're a crazy person. What the fuck are you saying? Like, this is the type of shit that like Steven Crowder says. You know what I mean?
Guy.
Dude, you think fucking the wealthiest people and their fucking dumbass, drug-addicted, failed children are actually fucking brilliant? No. It's established that they're going to go to a position of power no matter what, okay? Due to intergenerational wealth. So therefore, if you are able to get into fucking Harvard, then, you know, you and the rest of the fucking dumbasses are all at the very least getting C's, okay?
I feel like in high school, some of our AP and dual enrollment classes, I don't know if it's like this in college, and I don't know if I'm self-reporting for my high school, but for some of our AP classes, we had some wild curves and some tests that were double curved. Now, I never understood the point or why. Is it like that in some college courses? Are you ever in college courses where they're curving or like double curving like fucking classes? Some of our teachers in high school say like, yeah, at some colleges they do this, but that seems wild. Yeah, they were always in the calc and the, I never took AP physics. I only took honors physics, I think, right? Or did I take only honors chem? I didn't take AP on both of those, but I remember even hearing in other classes that there were some wild, what do you mean curve? Like on some tests, they would do like a divide by 2, add 50 twice. So like the lowest score you get would be like I think like a 75. It was wild sometimes. But I think the professors were looking at the essays and just making sure you understood the, like chances are if you were in any of those classes, you were decently smart anyway. But I don't know how common that is at, in college where they're like curving or double curving or they're like doing some insane shit for pass rates. But I doubt if they do it at Ivy Leagues, I doubt it's only at Ivy Leagues. But maybe not. Yeah, I don't know. 50% was a B in my calc 2 class. Yeah, there were some wild things, yeah.
How the fuck can you justify how successful they got after college? You know what
I took BC with Goodrich. Oh, what up? It's a prepster, dude. We get like 40 to 50% and we all got B's. Hi, TensorFlows. I love you, buddy.
I mean? Yes, Harvard has a 4% dropout rate when the national average is closer to 24. If you were to look at it, that 4% dropout rate probably comes from economic circumstances too.
Whoa, wait, what? Hold on.
Yes, Harvard has a 4% dropout rate when the national average is closer to 24. If you were to look at it, that 4% dropout rate probably comes from economic circumstances.
I would be shocked if that was the case. I'm only going anecdotally here, so I could be wrong, but I've heard this said a lot. My understanding is that like if you have the grades and you can get into Harvard or anything like that, you will never be denied because of financial reasons. They'll give you, there is financial aid, there are scholarships, there's Parent Plus, Perkins loans, there's a million different ways. You will never be dropped from an Ivy League. If you deserve to be there, that you will like never get kicked out or dropped because of financial means. I've heard that repeated by professors and other individuals, so that might be wrong. That might be not true. But I'm 4% dropout rate, Harvard. Why? Can we just find the data on this? I wonder why. Harvard graduation rate is 98%. Why do most students drop out of Harvard?
50% of all the grades at Ivies are an A. Princeton has an average GPA of 3.45. You think these guys are getting those grades because they're fucking brilliant? Legacy admissions certainly aren't. How the fuck is everybody getting such incredible grades, dude? How the fuck's that happening? Oh, wait. It's because if you go there, you're going to get a job regardless, okay? You're going to get a job regardless, so it doesn't fucking matter what your grades are. Because all of that is a lie! And that's why they want to fucking hold on to it as best as they can. And
I'm pretty sure that at the end of the day, if those people are getting jobs, the people are also probably performing well. Like, firms aren't going to hire people just because they came from Harvard. I'm sure there's a little bit of nepotism, Andy shit that goes on, but I don't think that I don't think that people are gonna be like, yeah, we've got all these Harvard grads and they're kind of stupid and they don't really perform well, but like, damn, bro, they're from fucking Harvard. How are we not gonna hire these guys, right? I seriously doubt that's the case. I could be wrong, but I would be shocked if I was wrong. I'd be shocked, shock and awe.
How much they have to achieve in order to get there.
What?
Asian students on average have to score 450 points higher than a black student in order to get in the same university. So if you think of the universities that have courses, et cetera,
that's crazy. I didn't realize it was... Dude, I love these fucking arguments, man. I didn't realize that, like, your college entrance examination scores was the only reason as to why you're getting into fucking colleges. That's crazy. I had no fucking idea, dude. That's wild.
The push here, what I'd be interested in hearing Hasan say that. Do you think that Asians are uniquely unqualified? Because that's the implication. I don't know if he realizes that's what he's implying. He's implying that Asians are actually really kind of, they have things that make them very unqualified to get into school. That's why they need such high test scores. What is the implication there? I'm so curious. I built the wrong fucking machine here, didn't I? This shouldn't be a smelter. God damn it. Or no, I can just deconstruct it. Okay.
It's so frustrating to make this example because it's like, a student who self-identifies as Asian will need 140 SAT points higher than whites, and 320 SAT points higher than Hispanics, and 450 SAT points higher than African Americans, right? It's a 2009 study, but it doesn't matter because even in 2009, the study is f***ing stupid because the SAT scores are not the only reason as to why people are getting into these colleges, okay? The real answer is standardized tests are bullshit, and they do not show how great of a...
I will continue to admit that I could be wrong, but every time I bring this up, nobody's challenged me successfully on this. I think that standardized tests are incredibly G-loaded. I think that they probably test for your aptitude and intelligence probably really well. That's what I feel. No one's ever shown me anything to change my mind on that. I think that standardized testing does a pretty good job at being highly G-loaded, and the idea that they're just like bullshit, you just practice it, blah, 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 I don't believe that. I do not believe that for 1 second. I think that people have gotten rid of standardized tests, and I think they've brought them back now. I think MIT did that, didn't that, the last time we looked it up? They're like, okay, we're gonna get rid of standardized testing. And they're like, let's bring it back. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of cool, but
student someone can be, especially when we already know that it doesn't matter. It's more about getting into the college. It's not necessarily, especially when you go to an Ivy. Okay. The value that you get from going to an Ivy League school or one of these top educational institutions is not that you're getting the best education. Anyone who tells you that is fucking lying to you. It's who is in your social circle. Okay?
Partially true.
When you are automatically placed in a freshman class and sitting next to you is some fucking Arab sheiks.
While that's true, that kind of is your education a little bit though, right? Because didn't Hasan say earlier that black people going to school is good for us just because we get like the diversity of black people being in our schools? Isn't that in and of itself kind of a good thing? Being in certain social circles, running internships or externships with certain companies, having opportunities in certain frats because of certain people in the companies, like it's part of your education. It really is, you know?
Grandson, and on your right is like some goddamn billionaire hedge fund owner's grandson or child, okay? All of a sudden, look to your left, look to your right. It's impossible for you to fail after college.
Actually, you know what? Now, the more that I think about it too, when we do research, I feel like these institutions tend to be pretty good research institutions as well. So if you have the opportunity to work alongside like researchers at like Stanford and shit, that's probably good. Now, I could be wrong, but like I don't know the last time I read a study that was like submitted to the NBER from like economist from the University of Nebraska. Right? Not to knock my school or anything, but like, yeah, I think that these, yeah, or like Johns Hopkins, or like, I feel like these institutions tend to have like really good, really good. I don't know what I'm saying. Oh, like good research bodies as well. But okay.
Donald Trump doesn't literally want bad things to happen to black people, like I think a lot of conservatives do. So I think that he just says the most. Yeah, I do think that. I think he says the things that will get him elected. So I don't think that he has any personal grudges against certain, most people.
I don't even agree with that. I think that he's just as racist as every other person from.
I don't think. I hate, as much as I love to hate him, I don't think Donald Trump is racist. I think Donald Trump is like, if Donald Trump is racist, I think Donald Trump is like old person racist. He like believes some weird shit. He probably used to use the word colored. But I don't think he's like, I mean, like, the guy's a real estate dude from New York. He might have some bad takes about like the style of like tenants, maybe, except I'm pretty sure most of his shit is like commercial anyway. But like, here's the thing. If Donald Trump was racist, I think it would have come out by now. Okay? I don't think we would be guessing whether or not he's racist. I think we would just know. But
from his background would be. Like, because he literally, I mean, he was investigated for housing discrimination. You know what I mean? Like, he's.
Yeah, but like housing discrimination is probably to. Is this like, is it racism, or is it like a guy trying to just like maximize his shit? And I don't know. I think there's a lot of things you call Trump, but I don't, like, would I call him racist? I don't think I would. But I mean, if you want to understand.
Definitely not a good dude. He's definitely racist, but like, he's default a mirror racist. Exactly.
How is he not racist? Are his Mexicans or drug dealers racist comments? Muslim countrymen is not racist. So this is kind of an interesting line to straddle, but I would say he's xenophobic. And I think, oddly enough, I think oftentimes, actually almost always, I think xenophobia and racism go hand in hand. But I think with Trump, I don't know if they do. He's such an odd one out, right? Like I've said this before, Trump isn't even really a conservative. And it's so strange that the conservatives like worship him. But yeah, I would say Trump is definitely xenophobic, but I don't know if he's racist. I'm not sure. But I wouldn't say he loves like black people. He doesn't love racism people. He's just, I don't think he's racist.
Yeah, he was a racist liberal. Yeah, he used to be racist.
How is housing discrimination not racist? I don't want to argue about this too much. I'll just give you a really, really, really uncomfortable analogy, and then you can sit with it and you can figure out how you want to figure it out. Okay? Go find a friend that you have who works at restaurants, who's a server, and then ask your friend, hey, when you're doing tables at IHOP, Denny's, steakhouses, and black customers come in and people are talking about who gets the Canadians or whatever like that, and people don't want to serve those tables, are those people racist? That's a rough one. You can, you figure out what you think about that, how you feel about that, and yeah, I don't know, explore, do some self-exploration. Is it shitty? Is it unfortunate? I definitely agree with those things. Is it racist? That's a really hard one. I don't know. That's a challenging one. I think that's a challenging one to sort through. I'll say that much.
Liberal way before, in a way that like conservatives would shit on him for, most likely. Anyway, what you mean? The hood loves Donnie Reels, Little Pimp? No.
Sorry, I think the Canadians comment was not. I think I had a friend once. I don't know if this was on stream or off stream. I don't remember if this was a real life friend or on stream, but they would use coded language, and they'd say who's getting the Canadians for like a new table that comes in. But that was like their coded language for black people, because sometimes they don't tip as well as other people, and if you're a server and you're working certain nights and you don't want to take a table, like that's yeah. But maybe that's not ubiquitous slang. I'm not sure. Did you try to avoid dealing at black tables in casinos? I didn't deal. I worked at the cafe. However, depending on the shift you were in, whether or not somebody tipped well or not, especially in the mornings, had nothing to do with if they were black or white. It had to do with if they were old or not. If you had a racist server or somebody that didn't like working with black people, that actually worked to your benefit, because especially, I don't know if there's like a reverse racism thing that goes on, but if you're a friendly, polite, handsome little white dude, and you're talking to old black ladies coming from church or whatever in the morning. Oof, you can get some nasty tips there. You can get some great money. In my personal opinion, older people, especially that went to casinos, that would frequent like cafes and shit, they would usually, as long as you were friendly with them and you talked with them and you flirted with them or whatever, they would be super, super friendly, and they'd usually tip you really well. So if you're avoiding an old black lady because you're racist, you're probably just losing money yourself. How often did old ladies hit on you or try to hook you up with their daughters? Well, it's not that they're not like actually hitting. It's just fun. You feel young and it's fun to like flirt with staff, but they're not, well, unless maybe some people are. Unless some people are trying to, maybe some of them fucked people. I don't know. Maybe. You said old black women. Did the gender matter? I wonder if there's a statistical breakdown. I feel like for older people, I feel like it was usually women, and if there were men there, it was the husbands of the older women. But I could be wrong. I might just remember that for some reason. I don't know if that's actually true or not. But I feel like for gamblers and like slot players and stuff, for older people, I feel like it was generally older women, and then if there were men there, it was because there were husbands of the women there. But I could be totally wrong on that. That's just what I remember. That's what I remember in my mind.
And a big part of why Donald Trump was actually seen as like not as horrifying of a figure by plenty of black and brown people was because of, I hate to admit this, but The Apprentice.
He just says the most popular thing. So I think like Ron DeSantis would be, Ron DeSantis would be somebody that I think actually wants black people to be hurt. So by that standard, yeah, Donald Trump supports black lives by leaps and bounds.
You think Donald Trump says the most popular thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Then why do so many people hate him?
He got elected as president.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He didn't win the popular vote.
Whoa!
That's a...
Whoa! Oh! Yourself, though. You kind of owned yourself. You fucking lost the popular vote. Wait a minute. What?
I like how Hasan soyed out the same way that Alec soyed out, instead of like dealing with the reason why he brought that up. And then we never actually get to hear, like, is Donald Trump popular? That's so funny. Because he's going to bring up that same point.
I don't fully agree with Alec here anyway. I don't know what trail of thought he had here. I'll be honest. Maybe not his best performance here, but it doesn't matter.
Well, Alec was trying to claim that Donald Trump is just going to say whatever appeals to his base, whatever's popular. Now, Alec got caught in a trap by the two black conservatives because they're saying, oh, you're saying he's popular? He didn't win the popular vote. But that wasn't the point initially that Alec was making. Alec was trying to make the point, which I actually agree with. Alec was, I think I broadly agree probably with most of what Alec is saying. He just comes off as a pretentious asshole. But the point Alec was trying to make was that Donald Trump is just going to say whatever he feels plays well with his base. That's what he's saying. But...
That's what your side likes to say.
That's a liberal talking
I'm
point.
helping you here. I'm trying to see the logic in this. Obviously, he says things to be elected as a politician very similarly to how Joe Biden did, except Joe Biden actually has a history of racism.
If he said things that people...
Yeah, whereas Donald Trump don't. Like, get the fuck out of here, kid. Oh, my God. Okay, now I'm doing the debate brain. Bro, I'm sorry.
Kid.
You can't fucking be like, oh, Joe Biden is so racist, but like, and then act like Donald Trump isn't then, okay? I'm sorry. That's fucking ridiculous. Like,
Get
this is the
outta here,
only thing, the
kid.
First Step Act, which was literally a bipartisan crime bill, a prison reform bill, a criminal justice reform bill that, you know, Democrats wrote as well. Get the fuck out of here. And if it was a Democratic president that wanted to sign it, the Republicans would have vetoed it. Shut the fuck up. The only reason why it happened under a Republican president is because some of those bills only pass under Republican presidencies because Republicans are only obstructionists when a Democrat is president.
Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump, so I don't think he really cares about anyone, I guess, unless you're like super rich or whatever.
When you look at his history on racial issues, whether it's the shithole countries comment, the plethora of comments he made about Mexican people, just the comments he's made about Muslims, the idea that Trump cares at all about some particular racial minority, I think is a little bit silly. I think Trump will say whatever he needs to say to rile up his base and to get elected.
I don't necessarily think those statements come from a place of hatred. I don't think he was ever saying specifically, oh, if you pray 5 times a day towards...
Wait, I don't get it. Hold up. How can you say Mexicans are rapists in a non-hateful way? That's wild. How can you say black people come from shithole countries? Why can't we get immigration?
He didn't say black people came from shithole countries, to be fair. I think he was referring to one singular black country there, but...
From good countries like Norway, but like say it in a not racist and not hateful way. You can't say that.
I think he was saying if you like to fly planes into towers or behead people or throw people off of buildings, maybe you're not the most virtuous person out there.
I supported Trump because he.
Yeah, bro. The problem is saying all Muslims want to do that. What the fuck is wrong? Okay, well, I can't.
I don't remember, but I feel like I had an objection to that. I was like, if he really cared about the flying into the planes thing, why didn't he ban Muslims from Saudi Arabia? I think I said that here, but I don't think my interjection here was got. I think a lot of what I said wasn't caught here, but whatever.
Fault him. He is literally a kid. He's got a kid brain.
Kid brain.
I know it's identical to like what adult conservatives argue, or how adult conservatives argue, because adult conservatives also have kid brain. But he's like literally a baby, so maybe it's a little different. That's not even try. He said a complete and total shutdown of all Muslims. Yeah.
That's what he wanted to do initially, but yeah.
It's so stupid. It's like, yeah, he just doesn't like people who pray 5 times a day and then like fly planes into the Twin Towers, which, by the way,
nobody does.
No, he doesn't have an issue with people who do that, because look at his dealings with Saudi Arabia. Who the flew the planes, idiot?
Wow, good job, Hasan.
Saudi Arabia. And then, you know what else they did? The Saudi kingdom, under Mohammed bin Salman, killed an American legal permanent resident. Maybe he was a bit of a CIA guy, but who cares? When 9/11 happened, he literally, I think it was the morning of, the next morning, he straight up went on a talk show and said, well, it's really bad, but guess what? Now Trump Tower is the tallest tower in Wall Street. Silver linings. He said that. Oh my God, he said that 10 minutes after the final tower collapsed. Get the out of here. I thought he said it the next morning or something. That's crazy, dude. He literally was dancing on the rooftop.
40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest.
I watched as...
It's pretty fucking... I would have to see the full interview. I'm curious why he said that there. That
okay, but was he wrong, though? No, he ain't wrong. He just shouldn't say it. You know, it's a little insensitive to say on the day of 9/11. Nah, you saying insensitive things about 9/11? Yeah, I love saying insensitive things about 9/11. Just not on 9/11. You know what I mean? Not on 9/11 2001. Okay? Yeah, and also I'm saying it on my own stream. I'm not calling into a news show to brag about it. You know what I mean? Pretty wild stuff.
People keep bringing up this comparison to the '93 crime bill from Biden. That crime bill, this was at the height of like violent crime and the crack epidemic in the United States. The Congressional Black Caucus supported that crime bill. Everybody in the United States supported that crime bill. The idea that crime bill was like some racist piece of legislation that Biden just wheeling out.
Yeah, you know who else the Congressional Black Caucus supported? Fucking Hillary Clinton over Barack Obama. That doesn't mean it.
Okay, and Barack Obama didn't support gay marriage. What is the point of, what is even the point of that? I'm sorry. Black people loved Bill Clinton. Wait, am I missing something? My understanding is that I thought black people loved Bill Clinton. Am I wrong on that? I was young at the time. Maybe it was just Republicans that said that, but no, I know they got into some weird shit later on with that super predator comment and shit. Or maybe that was just Rush Limbaugh playing up Bill Clinton's popularity with minorities, but
anything, okay? I supported fucking Hillary Clinton over Barack Obama.
Also, why are you comparing the CBC in 2016 or 2012? No, 2008 versus in 1993. Like, but
doesn't mean anything, okay? I hate that justification. The Congressional Black Caucus is a Democratic Party cutout. That's it. Like, they care about what the Democratic Party is saying and doing. They don't give a shit.
Okay. So black conservatives' opinions don't matter. Black Democrat opinions don't matter. So which black opinions are okay in Hasan's world? Like,
that's not like a good representation, in my opinion, of the attitude at the time. And even then, saying, well, everybody fucking thought it was like a necessity is not exactly great. It is not exactly great when, like, we know the impact of the bill itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the impact of the bill doesn't play to the intent of the bill. When we passed the Hart-Celler Immigration Act, The goal wasn't to have a whole bunch of foreigners immigrating into the United States. Quite the opposite. But that's what happened. But that doesn't mean that that was the intent.
I guess if you're trying to justify it by saying like, oh, Joe Biden wasn't racist for the crime bill, it's like, well, he certainly was. I mean, Joe Biden has said a ton of other racist shit as well. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Hey,
ton of racist shit?
That's a wire. Wait, so does he believe prison helped the crack epidemic? He strikes me as a legalize all drugs kind of guy. Yeah, also the crack epidemic is a hilarious way to fucking frame this when talking about how it's not racist. Lamau,
does he think that the crack epidemic in black neighborhoods wasn't real? Or was that just fictitious? Or maybe in West Hollywood behind gated communities, you just don't see the issues that drugs can have on especially disadvantaged communities, maybe.
Congressional Black Caucus endorsed a white man over a black candidate is just some of the most right-wing Dems in the House. Frequently, Dems in super blue districts get tons of right-wing GOP donor money for the most conservative Democrat candidate. This is a well-known point from anyone who's a total fraud. Yeah, I mean, the Congressional Black Caucus is a representation of, like, you know...
Okay, what about the fact that I'm pretty sure the majority of black people in the United States also supported the crime bill? Racial polling, crime bill, 1993 support. I'm adding this up, or did Bernie sign onto the bill too? I believe that Bernie did sign into the 93 crime bill. I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did. According to a 1994 Gallup survey, 58% of African Americans supported the crime bill compared to 49% of white Americans. Most black mayors who are grappling with a record wave of violent crime did so as well, as he joined a delegation of mayors lobbying Congress to back the bill. Baltimore Mayor Kurt L. Schmoke said, "We're trying very hard to explain to Congress that this is a matter that needs bipartisan support." Clyburn, a member of House leadership and one of the most powerful African-American elected officials, reflected on the reason for his vote in favor of the bill. Crack cocaine was a scourge in the black community. Yikes, racist much? He recalled, they wanted it out of those communities and they'd gotten very tough on drugs, and that's why yours truly and other members of the Congressional Black Caucus voted for the 94 crime bill. Oof. I wonder how he can talk with all those white police boots in his mouth. Yikes. Do we have a link to this Gallup survey? I doubt they would just lie in this brings it up, but it'd be interesting just to see the actual survey just so I could have my eyes on it. But yeah, anyway, this idea that it was like this racist bill, is stupid. That's just dumb.
Okay.
Because he hates black people, and that's somehow comparable to the Donald Trump's treatment of the Central Park Five that were already exonerated. That wasn't a victim of the media. The media said they were done. They were exonerated in court. They weren't there.
As I understand it, the prosecutor of the five, he was a black guy, and so in being a black guy, he went and he looked at all the evidence and said these guys are guilty.
Black people can also be racist against other black people.
Or just make mistakes.
So if anybody does anything you disagree with in regards to the Central Park Five, even if they themselves are a black person, then
I mean, they're cops. I like that. I like that. He's like, it's a simple mistake.
Yeah, it can't be a mistake. Correct. It's racism. Like, it was so silly to assume that people could fuck up or make mistakes for other reasons. It's got to be racism. Haha, true.
A simple mistake that a cop engaged in, you know? It's just like whenever police brutality happens and it's like a black cop, I'm always thinking, oh, there goes another simple mistake situation.
oh, they're just a self-loathing black person. They're just a racist black person.
If they disagree with me, they're racist. That prosecutor was doing his job. That's my policy.
What? You're oblivious to the hate you spread now, but in the future you will live in a mansion of regrets surrounded by melted wax figures of the fake people you love to suffocate with your own ego-driven ideas with a non-existent amount of compromise.
Jesus.
Real humans value compromise rather than bigotry. What the fuck?
Damn, my God. Are you okay, dude?
It's pasta? What kind of fucking copy pasta is? First of all, I'm already living in a fucking giant mansion, I guess.
Bare necessities,
I have to
boys.
pee so fucking bad. It's a pasta that someone typed in here. Oh. It's crazy that like so many people actively have played a role in shutting off a broader audience from like legitimately understanding what I have to say, or even coming to me in a charitable way.
It's actually, I have so little sympathy for this Weasley fucking liar who constantly tells lies. We listened to him do it earlier about Ben Shapiro. He does it all the time about me. This fucking loser constantly locks his audience out of, listen to anytime he says anything positive about me. He has to poison the well so hard. He explicitly goes out of his way to be bad faith and dishonest about the people that he doesn't like. And he's going to sit here and cry about other people not giving them access to his audience. Like, seriously? What an unbelievable thing for this fucking loser to say. That's such an unbelievable statement. Holy shit.
Genuinely frustrating. I will never forgive them, but I also know that you know, they are, all those people are just like permanently fucking stuck in their own echo chambers, and they're sad.
Oh my God.
Losers, so whatever.
Trapped in our echo chambers. He's mad because he's been searching for why recently his viewership has been basically falling. I think this is the first year that he's had like consistently decreasing viewership over like a long period of time. And I think he's trying to figure out like if his viewership ever slid off, like if he was getting less than 20K concurrents, I think he would legitimately off himself. But he's probably looking for excuses for what's happening. I guess he's going to blame other people. It's insane that he's like in such an unbelievably nepotistically granted privileged position where he's legitimately and unbelievably popular, and he's still crying about not getting enough exposure. Like, what an unbelievable statement to make.
I overcorrected a little bit. I started becoming pretty cringy as far as like, you know, sit down and let the minorities all talk, right? Don't say anything, don't speak over them, etc. They would, you know, it was like the whole you can't speak over Candace Owens even if she's literally a Nazi kind of thing. So I stand by that. So yeah, I kind of leveled out thankfully, and I'm less cringe now.
Did you? Are you?
I cringed.
This is leveled out. Imagine if we would have been here a year ago.
I mean, maybe I am being cringe. Who cares?
So I grew up conservative, but I did have more left-leaning ideas about like Black Lives Matter and critical race theory.
It's great, man. Hey, good job winning over this fucking group, Destiny. You did it.
He's so mad about my one comment, my one joke, when the entire Jubilee audience, I'm pretty sure I could go recheck the comments, were ubiquitously shitting on Alec for being the most combative motherfucker in this entire show. Like, and we didn't even get to see his bootlicker comment, bro. It actually became uncomfortable. The lady running the show had to like pull us back from the edge multiple times because of Alec's fighting with the other people. Like, he kept cutting people off. He kept asking really aggressive questions. He kept getting personal for ad homs. Like, this happened multiple times during the show. Like, bro.
Dumb.
And I was watching a lot of YouTube, and you know, I did agree that Black people were oppressed and all of these different things, and that we were kind of got the short end of the stick. And during 2020, when there was, you know, everything crazy was happening, and I started organizing rallies against the mandates because I thought that they were just totally.
Oh, there it is, bro. There it is.
What is?
Oh God, 2020 broke so many people's brains. Some for the better and many for the worse. Oh my Lord.
Totally.
You know that it's like, it's so weird because like, it's weird that Hasan has to do this. I wonder how uncomfortable it is, because normally socialists don't like to do like id poll. They don't like to talk about like black people and shit. They just want to focus on like class. But I wonder how uncomfortable Hasan would be if he knew how many black people had bad feelings about like vaccines and mandates and Tuskegee and like all this. I still don't know if it's Tuskegee or Tuskegee. But like somebody should look it up. Our vaccine acceptance rates, I'm pretty sure they're lower among black communities than broadly the white community. Pretty sure that's the case, but I have to go and check for it. But this
unconstitutional and un-American. And then George.
I saw you at Spaghetti Factory in San Diego in 20.
It's Tusk. What is this? Hold on. Hey guys, a lot has happened in the past few days. Oh, this is Alec. And as you can imagine, I've been getting all kinds of comments and messages about my Jubilee appearance. I had some great moments in the video, and I also some things I'm not proud of, but no matter how you feel I performed, I do not like the way I appeared. I was angry, overbearing, and annoying. It's not the laid-back and fun-loving image I have of myself. For that, I'm sorry to you all and moreover to myself. Up to this point, I've largely been winging the whole online content creator thing. I feel with this appearance, I was thrown into a pit of sharks without a life jacket, and I flailed around a lot just trying to stay afloat. Jesus. I have a lot of work to do to be an effective advocate for the position as a whole, and I want people to realize I'm capable of taking constructive critique. But that said, I feel like I've been online too much and for far too long with 2 breaks. My IRL job is easygoing, which gives me plenty of time to tweet and watch political YouTube videos, and when I go home, it's largely the same thing. Maybe perfectly honest, what is he doing? How big is this guy? Alec Gunter. 2,000 YouTube subs. Okay. It's probably the most attention he's gotten online in a long time, to be fair, I guess.
2019, and I didn't like you back then. Now I'm a 9-month subscriber. You know what's funny about that?
What?
First of all, that's awesome. I love that. I was there at Spaghetti Factory in San Diego in 2019. That's true, literally, with a massive group of individuals because it was TwitchCon. Now, what's hilarious is that there are probably people like this that are in my orbit when I'm existing out in the real world. And not a single one of these motherfuckers actually come up and ever say anything, which I'm glad you didn't, Chicken Adobo, because, you know, I probably would not have reacted all too positively.
Why are you pretending? Wait, didn't Hasan like literally awkwardly shirk away from a guy at TwitchCon that approached him? Am I making this up? Wasn't there a guy at TwitchCon? Who am I thinking of? He was like another streamer person. Was it Zerka or was it somebody else? But then he found like some short 15-year-old kid and he like pressed the fuck out of him or something. Fuck, I'd have to go back and find the video.
Even if you have like hatred in your heart for me due to whatever echo chamber is telling you that I'm like a piece of shit.
It's so wild that he like projects so hard. Maybe people don't like you because you're the piece of shit. Like, damn, the wild mischaracterizations he has of other content creators, and he is out here crying about people doing it to him? That's kind of unreal.
It's like you're not going to express that.
And it's funny, too, because Hasan is, like, self-admittedly an echo chamber. Like, he doesn't like debate. He doesn't like arguing with content creators that don't agree with him. He doesn't like going into spaces where people are hostile. Like, there's a reason why Hasan didn't ever get involved in, like, the red pill shit and doesn't make the rounds on any of those shows. Like, Hasan explicitly, and I'm pretty sure self-admittedly, has set his shit up as an echo chamber. So it's so funny that he's getting upset that people that he could have access to but chooses not to associate with have negative opinions of him. That's so wild to me.
Real world. Most people in the real world do not engage in content unless they are like totally mentally ill. You know what I mean? Like unless they are totally, absolutely unhinged, probably schizophrenic, you know, they usually just keep to themselves when they're like, I don't like that person. But we can't do that in the online sphere. We just can't do that. It's odd. Anyway, let's continue.
Floyd dies. And initially I was like enraged like everybody else. And then it started to become this weird like political like agenda masquerading or behind his face. Like it just, the face of what was actually happening started to peel off. And
I thought you were a fake leftist grifter.
This was Hasan when Zerka found him. Hold on. I think.
Oh, it's a Hasan Piker! That's it? It's alright, man. Bro, this guy looks...
This is Hasan when like a 15-year-old walks up to him.
I want to give you respect for that.
Oh, thank you.
And I have another question. I think Sam Hyde, he called you out on like a boxing event. Are you interested in like the boxing scene or not?
No, I don't know why you guys are so into this shit. He's a Nazi. Like, I don't know. What are you doing?
What's happening right now?
It's so whack, bro. Like, I don't understand why all you motherfuckers have to like run around with this shit.
What's going on? What's going on?
Nothing. Get the fuck out of my face, bro. You fucking asshole. Yeah, what do you mean, damn, bro? What the fuck do you mean, damn? What do you mean, damn?
Chill.
What the fuck do you mean, damn? Why do you do this
I'm
shit?
asking questions. I don't know.
You're not asking.
Alright, bro.
Yo, chill, bro.
Get the fuck out of here. Pussy.
That was whack. Fuck that guy.
I felt like if Zerka would have been 2 feet shorter, I feel like Hasan wouldn't have just looked at him and brushed him off.
it was just so funny to me that back when I was making 15, 20,000 a year, I'm like, I gotta vote for the lower tax bracket, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm barely paying any tax anyways. And, you know, now that I'm older, like, if the government wants to take, you know, a few, you know, 10, 20, whatever, how many more thousand.
I never know what to say for a number here because I make a lot of money and it feels weird to say, like, if I say too little, it's kind of silly. But if I say too much, it feels like I'm bragging about my income. I never know what to say on this.
Was out.
You just said you worked hard.
I did, but I got very, very, very lucky doing so.
Yeah, he's right about this part as well. Obviously, that like.
Whoa, hold on, Hasan. Don't just give me credit. Make sure that you can attack me. Bring up that I also have a lot of crazy far-right views. Bring up the fact that my mom is probably a Gusano pig. We own slaves. You make sure you qualify the fuck out of this. Don't give me just credit for nothing, okay?
Meritocracy clearly is a lie. Luck plays a tremendous role in this. Again, I agree. Hard work is very important. I talk about this all the fucking time. I work very hard. There's one thing you cannot shit on me over. It is how hard I goddamn work. Maybe to a detriment, to a fault. Okay? But that is not the end all be all. There is also a tremendous amount of luck that factored into my success.
You said that you were a Bernie fan in 2016 and then you transitioned to being, I guess, more conservative.
I mean, there's a guy who watches me religiously in this beyond Alec. Probably more than Alec himself. And he's in the blue shirt, okay? Like,
bro, how much Hasan shit have we even watched over the past like 6 to 12 months? I feel like I've been doing like red pill shit like constantly.
There's one guy who definitely watches me non-stop is that little hobbit right there.
I guess.
I mean, I love these conversations because like it's just never going to happen because of how insanely racist America is. Okay.
Insanely racist America. If America is insanely racist, I wonder if there are any countries that he considers not racist. I'm so curious.
Like how unimaginably racist America is. But the reality is that you know, it's just. It is ridiculous. This conversation is a ridiculous conversation to be had.
Just want to be treated like everybody else. We're equal for a reason.
I think especially recently with a lot of riot stuff that's going on or protest stuff that's going on, people on the left tend to infantilize a lot of different types of protesters, and especially even talking to you know, some of the other black content creators I do content with, when you hear a lot of progressives come out and say, well, they don't have a choice but to riot or break into the store, or, well, they're stealing, you know, these electronics or shoes for...
I hate how fucking reductive this take is. It is so unimaginably stupid and reductive, but it doesn't matter. America is a white supremacist nation, and no matter what happens, reductive ass fucking takes like this.
Yeah, my take is reductive. By the way, America is a white supremacist nation. 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 I really hate how reductive he is on everything he says. And America is a white supremacist nation. And America is a white supremacist nation. And America is white supremacist. Bro, like, come on, broken record much?
Will always be prescient. It will always gain prominence. It will always be celebrated by a bunch of dumbasses who agree with it, but agree with way worse versions of this as well. Okay?
Good reasons, you just don't realize it. I think a lot of people kind of look both...
Like, no one is saying fucking people are stealing shoes for good reason. Like, I hate this fucking argument.
I'm sorry. I need the clip. I need the clip. I need the redistributed back to the neighborhood clip. Can somebody please give me that clip? Load it up. Who's got it? I'm sorry.
Do shit, okay? There's good stuff happening on the protest side always. Like, you only see the looting of Target. You don't see the redistribution of the goods that they took from Target back to the community.
Way worse versions of this as well. Okay?
Good reasons, you just don't realize it. I think a lot of people kind of look both...
Like, no one is saying fucking people are stealing shoes for good reason. Like, I hate
looting of Target. You don't see the redistribution of the goods that they took from Target back to the community. Like, because a lot of these neighborhoods are now turning into fucking food deserts where you have to drive 30 minutes to an hour to go get food. If you live in those neighborhoods...
That feel when shoplifters at Target stealing broccoli and bananas for the neighborhood.
I hate this fucking argument, dude. I hate this argument so much. Okay, or where they're stealing bags, like Gucci bags and shit, is because you can pay your rent with a Gucci bag that you sell to a fence, or you are basically getting hired to steal by some other dude. who is still extracting your surplus labor value, this time in the form of theft. That is your labor. Okay? You sell the Gucci bag to buy fucking loaves of bread for a month. You steal one loaf of bread, you can only eat until that loaf of bread goes bad. That's why people steal shit that is valuable but small. Okay? And, okay, it's so stupid. It is no different than what, like, racist dumbasses say on a regular basis. But that's not too shocking.
And it's a little bit weird that there's such a complex on the left to excuse, like, every single possible negative behavior from somebody, as long as they're a skin color that you're kind of in charge of protecting.
Okay. Motherfuckers will agree with this and try to MLK would be on their side. I know. I love this fucking take, and no matter what I say about this particular subject matter, whatever I say about this take, is that everyone has already made up their minds. He admitted this comment was about you. Yeah, I don't give a fuck, dude. Yeah, great. I'm glad that I have a permanent fucking occupying space in his mind that he unironically cannot let go of, and that it's been fucking years, and big homie still hasn't let go. You know what I mean?
You still say dumb statements. Why would I not make comments about that? I don't understand why he thinks that, like, we haven't talked in a while, so I can't talk about the statements that he makes. He's a political streamer, bro. Retire.
Fine. This is the first time I've reacted to a video with, like, Destiny in it in, like, probably, I would say, what, 3-4 years? There's, like...
Yeah, but what does that say about you versus me? I'm not saying I'm the biggest figure around, but, like, I've made the rounds. I've been on quite a few big shows. Why would you brag about the fact that you haven't talked about or covered me at all? I'm so Voldemorted in your head. It's like, I don't know why Destiny's looking at anything of mine. I didn't even look at a single video for anything that he's been in ever. Like, not even one time. Like, why would you brag about that? Why do you think that's a good thing? Why do you think that's admirable?
Been some clips where he's in it. Anyway. So, having said that, okay, in like 3 years, yeah, rent free. Whenever you guys see random dumb shit that is like popping up about me online, know that it's coming from a particular place. Okay.
Oh! Does Hasan blame every single bad thing that he gets online on my fan base? Am I both simultaneously irrelevant and not worth even covering a single time? Yet my community is so large and powerful, we are like single-handedly shutting down Hasan's reputation online?
Crime doesn't happen because people are good or bad, for the most part, okay? The overwhelming majority of crime happens as a consequence of people's material conditions. This is a constant fact that people have known about since ancient Greece. It's not that different, okay? No matter what happens, this is why crime happens. In order to genuinely solve crime, you must not simply focus on the externalities, okay? And focus on a justice that is draconian, focus on a justice that is specifically there as a deterrence mechanism, and focus on the root causes of why crime happens. Okay? This is not simply about black people. This is about all people across the board in every fucking country. Throughout time. That's it.
Wow.
You can resort to stereotyping and be like, nah, black people are fucking only stealing shoes and they're doing riots all day, every day. But ultimately, even when you think about people, any type of person stealing fucking shit from a big box store, okay? That crime is not happening in that moment specifically because they're like, oh man, there is no real morality behind it. They're not doing it because they're like, oh, I'm deserved this in the form of reparations, or the justification for it doesn't come from that at all. Okay? If you want to solve it, solve people's material inequalities. Something that every single person, at least on this side of the panel, has agreed with so far. Solve the systemic inequalities and people will not fucking riot. That's it.
Okay.
There's also more prescient, more important kinds of crime that never get punished.
Is it prescient or is it prescient? I think I've said prescient. It might be prescient. Is it prescient or prescient?
Prescient.
Oh, it is prescient. Oh, okay, sorry. Jesus. Gaslighting me.
Punished. It's a nice dream, but like the closer you are to solving these material equalities, the better society gets. That's it. I've talked about this so many fucking times before and have been proven right by just time passing. People used to say this about the Walgreens shit when people constantly were like, oh, Walgreens are closing down in San Francisco due to rampant crime, organized, serialized, rampant crime that's occurring in San Francisco.
He's about to do the meme where it's like, it actually wasn't about crime at all. They were just greedy capitalists, but that's not true.
I told you at the time that was bullshit. Everybody fucking yelled at me, including Gnome Man over there. I didn't hear any apologies from him when the Walgreens CFO openly came out and was like, yeah, we were greatly exaggerating the crime thing.
Yeah.
It was absolutely a narrative that they went along with because they wanted to shelter. They wanted to shelter the real reason why they were closing their fucking stores, which was because, you know, rent's too fucking high even for Walgreens. Okay. And brick and mortar retail across the board is not exactly profitable with e-commerce blowing the fuck up. Shouts out to Amazon for that.
Am I wrong? Are CVS or Walgreens competing with Amazon? I feel like the majority of people go to these stores for small things and like groceries and shit. Am I wrong? When I'm running to CVS or Walgreens, is it shit that I would normally buy on Amazon? I guess it's possible. I don't know. That's weird. I would imagine like big box retail stores are facing more competition, or like for instance like pharmacies, I would say, but maybe, I don't know.
Okay, but instead of admitting that, which would have genuinely hurt their stock prices, they decided to hide the reason why they were down.
Why would that hurt their stock price? To say we're closing stores in an unaffordable area, that would hurt their stock prices. But saying that we're closing stores because shoplifting is forced, that wouldn't hurt their stock prices? What? What is that logic?
Downsizing in certain areas by feeding into a narrative that already had existed. A narrative that was very, very top of mind at the time. I never got an apology from any of the people, whether it be LSF commentators or Destiny or his community, when the CFO of Walgreens openly admitted that they greatly exaggerated that. Okay?
Greatly.
And as far as crime and what kind of crime is totally allowed and valid and seen as permissible.
Oh my God, wage theft.
I mean,
wage
look no
theft.
further than the minor amount of fines that you incur when you hire minors to work in your place of business.
That's wage theft, guys. He's gonna say wage theft. He'll say it. Hold on.
If the punishment
that is wage
theft. Simply a fine you can pay,
say wage
and
theft.
It greatly outweighs.
He'll say it. Hold on.
Or it doesn't even come anywhere near the amount of money you can save by violating said rules, then that's simply a fee to purchase. That's simply a fee to allow you to work children in your place of business. Another crime that people rarely ever talk about is wage theft.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
that
which
was
is
close. Sorry.
much larger than even grand larceny and I believe Grand Theft Auto combined. Yeah, when this 17-year-old working in Michigan lost his hand in a grinder, the owner of the meat business in Western Michigan was ordered to pay $1,143. Every time I talk about the media coverage of like rioters, whether it be Black Lives Matter protests or whether it be just like the Kai Cenat meetup, I am almost always covering it from the angle of look at the media covering this as like this incredibly gross, incredibly violent display of charlatans. Whereas if it's not expressly or completely all black people engaging in said rioting or even looting, breaking into storefronts and whatnot, it is rarely ever covered with such terms. The solution is not...
Is that even true? Because like I feel like we heard about a ton of rioting and stuff during BLM riots. Wasn't that a lot of it the white people? Or when we heard about the Chaz stuff in Seattle, Wasn't a lot of that white people? I'm not sure if I buy this anymore. I'm sure that like in the 90s for like the LA riots and shit, I bet it was true. But I don't know if I believe this narrative as much. I feel like people are way more conscientious of this. I'd be curious to see like an analysis of the media, if there's been like some kind of like study or sociological survey that goes through like a ton of stuff to see if this is actually the case. I'm curious about that.
Not necessarily to make sure that all matter of coverage is just as brutal and demand more draconian punishments. The solution should be to cover it even-handedly, maybe cover it both in a similar fashion, but in the other way, not in the more violent direction. A big problem that I have with debate lords in general is that like this part of the conversation never gets mentioned. And
True. We've never talked about the underlying socioeconomic conditions that fuck over like black neighborhoods. That's so true. God, Hasan is so smart. I wish I would have even thought of that. I thought black people just stole because they were like genetically wired for it. I thought they had like the rogue gene. That was what I thought all this time. Maybe I played too much D&D. I've never actually considered that there might be like underlying socioeconomic conditions that like predispose certain groups of people towards committing crime. Thank you, Hasan. I've learned a lot today from you. Thank you.
The only part that is like the most clippable part is what they keep hammering onto, where they craft a genuinely different narrative than one I have intended to mention.
We're just like you. We just have a different skin color. And to hear...
Remember when Hasan got mad at you for talking exactly about that topic? Wait, what?
Right. In these ways, minority people can't really exercise racism against majority people because they don't really have the status or the power in society in order to do so.
I vote for Destiny.
It's like I wish Destiny could just come in at the beginning and give us the right answer right away instead of making us wait.
So we didn't have to list a fucking Hasan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me
feel like we have the cheat sheet right here.
Honestly, like
it's funny because like the only
It's
way
such a fucking retarded thing to say. Like, I'm sorry, but like if you can't comprehend the fucking shit that I'm saying, it's on you, okay? I'm doing as best as I'm doing.
Hey,
as best
yeah,
as I
Wes.
can
You
over
said the
here.
R Wes, word.
He literally said the exact same thing that I just said. Like, what the f are you guys talking
You can
about?
say retard on Twitch. Set up and says it all the time.
Fuck Twitch then.
No, wait, relax. Hey, come on now, Wes.
I remember this. Jesus.
So if you take pride in having like a white savior complex, what is it that you think that you're doing to save black people, and what is it that you think that you're saving black people from?
But yeah, him just saying he has white savior complex is not great. I don't. Alec fucked up there.
I'm trying to make the world a better place through whatever means I can, and.
But you're doing it on the backs of us.
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, I actually do. I feel like you want to be a savior for, and you're using me to make yourself feel good. That's
She's right. That is what white savior is. That's literally what it is. She's absolutely right.
Uh-oh.
Because no matter how conservative, she's still black, and she's probably experienced that kind of racial discrimination.
That's what
How
I'm
am I
hearing.
hurting you?
You're not letting me have my own voice. You're not letting me speak.
How? You're speaking now?
No,
You're cutting her off.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I have to.
Yeah. Well, what's happening? I mean, you're speaking right now. You're speaking right now in this particular setting. But what you're saying is, like, you took it back to riots and so forth, and it makes it seem like the only way that we as black people can have a voice is by riots, and then you need to come along and you need to say, okay, poor little black child, let me help you. That's offensive to me. And I feel like you're making yourself feel good about trying to help us. And
I also think that, like, when we talk about damage, I think especially when it comes to a lot of the shoplifting stuff that's going on in certain cities, you get a lot of white people that live in nice suburbs saying things like shoplifting is no big deal, that's fine.
Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind. To portray like white liberals in the suburbs as defending shoplifting is the most idiotic thing I've ever fucking heard in my entire life. It's the classic trope. I'm gonna die.
Oh no.
Oh God. Yeah, no, that's precisely what they're doing. You want to know what white people in the suburbs are doing when they see black people protesting, dude? What is that couple? What the ones that like ran? This is what fucking white people are doing when they see black people in their neighborhoods. Okay? Get the fuck out of here, dog. Get the absolute fuck out of here. Who do you think is closer to like a wealthy white person living in the suburbs? What mentality is closer to a wealthy white person living in the suburbs? A person who's like, oh man, I'm so fucking woke. Like, I think shoplifting is not a big deal. A person that you have invented in your mind that you say, I am exactly like. or this person or fucking Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, this is so incredibly fucking dumb. This is 100% closer to the average mentality of the wealthy person living in the suburbs as far as like shoplifting happens, because they are the ones who own the shops. If anything, no, I love this. That's one example. Okay, let me give you more than one example. If you look at who's wealthier, like which party wealthier people on average are voting for, do you think it's the Democratic Party or do you think it's the Republican Party?
That's a hard one. It wouldn't surprise me if the median income skewed a bit higher for Republicans because of people voting for tax brackets, but Democrats tend to live in cities, which tend to make more money, and Democrats also tend to be higher educated, which make more money. I don't actually know 100% who the wealthier voter is. I could totally see that going either way.
Answer to this question will determine how incredibly online you are. Okay? Go ahead.
Income distribution.
Go ahead. Explain. Yeah, they do. So shut the up. What do you think Republicans' attitudes are on shoplifting? This is so stupid. What do you think liberals' attitudes are on shoplifting? Have you ever talked to a California liberal living in a wealthy suburb? Have you ever...
Like you? So poor people tend to be Democrat. It's probably made up of minorities. And then as you climb the income bracket, so like even at this 100K or more, the split is 44 Democrat, 47 Republican. That's not that surprising to me, because even though I bet wealthy people tend to vote Republican for income bracket reasons, the Democratic party over here, I bet just because they skew higher in education, live in cities, I bet they tend to be over here. So yeah, this makes sense.
Or talk to a New York liberal living in a wealthy area. Crime hysteria is off the charts in places like this. When I talk about shoplifting and how big of a problem it is, the reason why people shove that back down my throat every single goddamn time is because it is not as bad as they represented. Crime across the board is much, much lower than it was year over year. That's it. That's the only thing I point out, which is not even my perspective. It's the perspective that police are delivering, okay? It is the crime numbers that they release.
Okay.
It's so incredibly stupid.
Okay.
The worst aspect of crime isn't necessarily the genuine fucking shareholder value that's hurting or whatever. It's
people's
perceptions. That one is baked
the media
in.
Making things up.
Crime and theft of this magnitude, retail theft of this magnitude, is already baked into their fucking profit margins. They already know that. They already account for it. Okay.
That's so stupid. Why do you say that? Retail theft is already baked in. If it increases or decreases in certain areas, they're just going to close the stores. What do you mean? Like nobody's going to tolerate like ultra high inventory shrink, right? Like. Oh God, it's this one quote of maybe we cried too much. It's this one quote. I hear this one wheeled out over and over and over again. Like, oh look, it's proof that like all the retail theft is bullshit. It's not. They might have overestimated it a bit for 1 year, or they might have overestimated it in some area, but like the retail theft shit is real. Like again, just spend any time in these stores and you can see every single thing in these shops is behind like literal glass panes for everything. It's insane now at some of these stores. It's wild.
The worst aspect of this kind of crime that is regularly portrayed in all aspects of news and also has been greatly overemphasized due to like apps like Nextdoor, Ring, and numerous other like protective services that want to freak you out so you buy more of their product, even though crime is always a constant when there is material inequality. The worst aspect of it is that it freaks people to out and suckers them into giving more money to the police that do a horrible job of dealing with it, partially because it's not supposed to be their responsibility to deal with the underlying reasons as to why crime exists to begin with, which is...
What the fuck are the police supposed to deal with if not crime? There might be underlying conditions, But that doesn't mean the police aren't there to deal with the crime that happens at the end of the chain of conditions that cause people to commit crime. It's the same thing with murders and shit too. There's probably underlying reasons why people commit murder and other things too. Doesn't mean the police aren't there to deal with it.
Material inequality. That's it.
I went grocery shopping the other day because I kind of wanted to get some sun, you know? And okay. I really hate grocery shopping, man. When I was a kid, I would go grocery shopping with my mom, like when I was 10 or whatever. And like, it's kind of cool because there's all that stuff there, you know? And keep in mind, I grew up in Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills is a very, very safe neighborhood. Like, seriously, you can, like 3 a.m. walking around, whatever. That's fine. But like, I don't know how much of it is because I'm outside of the hills and how much of it is just times a changing. But I think a lot of it is times a changing because it didn't used to be like this, even when I was outside of Beverly Hills. But like now, okay, one of the grocery stores that I would go to, there's a Target in Seattle, okay? And like, it's near the touristy areas and they have security guards there. And these security guards aren't store security, they're contracted security. These guys have flak vests and guns. In a grocery store, there are multiple of them. They have put so much of the stuff in the store behind glass, like glass shelves. Like you need to call someone over to open them, which is insane. Like sometimes homeless people walk in or whatever, but like however much money Target is saving on stolen goods, I swear, like, there's no way. Those guards are costing them, like, 6 figures a person per year. Like, insane, you know?
Crazy, huh?
Absolutely insane. Yeah, the toothpaste, you have to call them over to open up the toothpaste, like, behind the glass doors, you know? Toothpaste. $3 thing of toothpaste. So I went to a different grocery store the other day because it's like bad vibe. I went grocery.
Anyway, nobody's saying this, dude.
Outside, a lot of people love pointing to this like straw man that they've created of me, where it's like, oh, Hasan lives in a gated community, that's why he doesn't care about crime. It's like, motherfucker, you live in like Miami, don't you? Where the f does this guy live? I know he doesn't live in LA anymore, right? Or does he still live in LA? Like, I live in an.
I like how he knows where I moved to and he revealed it, and then he accidentally realized it. That makes him so obsessed, so he had to backtrack. Like, wait, you live in Miami now, or I mean, no, or don't you? Does he still live in LA? Does anybody know if he moved or not?
Yeah, that's why he doesn't care about crime. It's like, motherfucker, you live in like Miami, don't you? Where the f does this guy live? I know he doesn't live in LA anymore, right? Or does he still live in LA? Like, I live in an area that is literally portrayed as one of the highest crime neighborhoods in Los Angeles on local news all the fucking time. Okay.
Bro, when I could be wrong, I don't remember the areas of LA that well, but when people talk about West Hollywood being dog shit for crime, aren't they talking about like the area with the stars and the store? Because I think there's an Afters down that I used to go to. They're like, I don't think people are talking about outside the houses. People are talking about like in the fucking fuck, where did I used to go to down there so much? Like West Hollywood is where there's like the area with the stars and stuff, right? Am I making that up? Or because that's where I would see a bunch of like wacky dudes. Hollywood Boulevard. That's where the wacky, crazy homeless dudes are. Vaush will attest to that, as well as other friends hang out. You see a lot of crazy people in there. But if you go like deep into like the residential areas, is that where you're seeing like crime and shit? Are you seeing crazy, homeless, weirdo, criminal people in the suburbs of WeHo? Is that true? I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had friends that lived in those areas. I don't know if I've walked there much. But like, I've been to suburbs and like the white signs in Beverly Hills and all that shit. You don't normally see, I've never seen homeless people wandering those areas. Generally in the suburbs, that's not where they are. They're out like in the main streets with like the stores and everything else, but.
Okay, what the fuck are you talking about? Organized retail theft is happening in my neighborhood all the time. Literally, all the fucking time.
Organized retail theft doesn't happen in neighborhoods. That happens to retail establishments.
That's not what organized retail theft is, right?
Like, what does this take? It's so stupid. It's not real. It's literally, it's just like, it happens. Yeah, as a poor white guy, I love hearing rich whites say how dangerous it is. It isn't. Yeah, I hate this fucking narrative. Like, who are we crafting this narrative towards? Like rich white guys, really? Like, a lot of rich white guys are saying it's okay to do fucking crime. Like, what the fuck? If there's only one rich white guy who says it's okay to do fucking crime, it's me, okay? That's who you're talking about. And even that's not real. You've just, kept solidifying that perspective by clip chimping me 1,000 times over. So now a lot of brain-broken dumbasses legitimately believe that. But the reality is, like, who the fuck are we talking about when we say rich white guys? They love crime. They love having crime happen.
Hey, man.
Hammer and Sickle Twitter, which you hate as well, broke his brain, and he sees you as their leader when they don't even like you either. Yeah, they fucking despise me. Hammer and Sickle Twitter despises my ass.
Yes, every single left content creator hates every other single left content creator because you guys are aspy as fuck. I'm aware of this. Thank you. But actually, though, for Hasan, the reason isn't even because of the aspiness, though. The reason is because Hasan intentionally will not share clout with any other person. Even the people that would agree with him, like Denims or Mike from PA, Central Committee, like these other dipshits, Hasan does not share clout. Clout does not come for free. If you want to get on Hasan's stream, you have to be ultra clouted up. That's the reason why these people probably don't like you, is because you've done absolutely nothing to build any other type of figure from the left on your platform. The only people you ever bring on are like AOC or anybody that's more popular than you that you can gain clout from. So Hasan's take on retail theft, because apparently I'm inventing all this in my mind.
Thoughts on stealing of the shampoo from Walgreens? Yeah, I saw this. This is so fucking stupid, dude. Like, just let people steal shit, dude. What the fuck is wrong with you? They're not hurting anybody. Like, that's unironically my take. Like, what is this? This is like actually dry snitching, dude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, are they stealing from you? No, they're stealing from Walgreens. Like, what are you, Mr. Wall or Mr. Green? Like, why are you doing that?
Language of the unheard. I think people haven't read the full context of that quote. When MLK was saying riots were the language of the unheard and you need to address the underlying condition, he wasn't condoning the rioting. He was just understanding it.
Obviously, there are a lot.
That's okay. So I guess at least I'm in agreement with MLK on that one.
Bunch of white people that
well, no, because you condone it, right?
Feel they need to be a savior, but I think there's a difference between.
Maybe talking about people like your uncle, brother. My uncle is a perfect example of a dude who's upper middle class who has broken his brain about fucking crime happening in big cities. He is like the entire Young Turks has dramatically shifted their perspective. Damn near the entirety of the Young Turks commentators have dramatically shifted their perspective on crime. They literally are the guy who's like, crime is out of control, it's going crazy, who I've argued with publicly. Jank literally endorsed Rick Caruso. What the fuck are we talking about? If there's anyone who's like a hysteric, crime hysteric, it's him. Good video overall. I did think that Destiny's debate performance here was very surprisingly shit. I thought he would be way more fucking vicious. There were so many
vicious on the show called Middle Ground, way more vicious.
Different opportunities. There were so many different opportunities for him to be vicious. He spent a lot of the time not necessarily pushing back on bad arguments even, which I thought was interesting. Maybe a lot of that stuff got cut. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, again, we shot 3.5 hours of content. This is a 48-minute video, okay? I feel like I had like 3 responses in this whole video, and I feel like I talked quite a bit when we actually shot.
But yeah, because it was like shocking. From my perspective, at least, the only people he debated the whole video were the 2 more progressive people. Yeah, like he spent.
Not really. I don't even think I really debated them that much. I mean, like 2 jokes.
He didn't just spend a lot of time debating the more progressive people, but he definitely did do poorly in comparison to what I expected. For the record, people saying like, "Oh, Destiny doesn't do that in person," that's not true. Oh man, people are ripping Alec. Whatever. Fuck those people.
Oh no.
That was most common because they found out he really isn't a progressive liberal. I doubt it.